Live. Welcome to the Whip Around Show. Bo Wilson with Walker McQuarrie tonight as we are right here on Access WDUN's Facebook page. I'm holed up here in an office in my house. Mother Nature is holding up some of our games around the area, and we're finally live here after some technical difficulties. Walker, welcome to the show, man.
Technical difficulties, user difficulties. I mean, who knew if you unmuted your computer, it would actually let you hear the other side?
We're going to see us looking down a lot tonight and looking over because we're going to try to keep you up to date on what's happening across the area. But we do know right now, Walker, that we have some games that are in lightning delays to at least 8:45-ish. I think is what we're hearing. I don't have any updates on exactly what has transpired in the last 20 minutes as we've been trying to get on the air here. But Gainesville Johns Creek delayed. We had Cherokee Bluff, Oconee County delayed, and we've got East Hall Monroe area delayed. East Hall Monroe area simulcast tonight on AM 550 and FM 102.9, and then of course the Gainesville game over on the lake.
Yeah, also being delayed right now, Jefferson and West Hall, they're delayed until 8:05 tonight, but we do have a number of games underway and a few scores already coming in on the Hardy Chevrolet scoreboard. Lumpkin County up 14-0 on White County. Commerce and Elbert tied at 0 after 1 quarter of play. Hebron up on East Jackson 21-0. Hab Central up on Wonderbarrow 10-0. North Hall has a 7-0 lead on Pickens. They scored on their opening drive. So are some games going on around the area, but like you mentioned, the ones that are on our airwaves on WDUN and 94.5 The Lake, those are in weather delays right now, but still plenty of others going on around the area.
Plenty of others we've got happening. And, you and I were talking with Caleb on the pregame show, the tailgate show earlier about some of the action around the area. And I think the biggest thing on our part, a couple big regions tonight, 8-3A, 6-3A are in action. 8-3A kind of intrigues me. I wanted to say on the tailgate show just a few moments ago, you mentioned that GAC Dawson County game. That would interest me as well in 6-3A because Dawson gets their running back tonight. McBrayer, he's back in action. He was out last week. They were there at the end against Pickens, could not pull it out. They dug themselves a hole early, but tonight they face GAC.
Yeah, and GAC is the big bad private school in Region 6-3A, and they have that moniker about them. But like I mentioned on the tailgate show with Caleb, they're not the GAC of old. They have struggled through multiple games this year. Needed a last-second field goal to beat Lumpkin County. After Lumpkin scored the first 14 points, they went back and forth. Lumpkin scored. GAC had to drive the field and kick that game-winning field goal. So it's not a GAC team that is unbeatable. And so at Tiger Stadium, last year Dawson took them to a 5-point game. I think Dawson is a better team this year than they were last year. And they lost only by 5 at GAC last year. This is an opportunity for a big upset for the Tigers and a statement win. And maybe a career-defining win at Dawson County for Jay Beauchamp.
Absolutely, and you look at that game last year, Dawson lost at 21-16 to GAC down there. They're at home tonight, so that will be an interesting one to track. 10-0 score update, North Hall over Pickens right now. That game says in the second quarter, so they're moving kind of, well, I don't know if it's kind of quick, about 30 minutes, I guess, for a quarter of play, but we can expect that game to most likely go long. You want to do our first live look in here tonight? Because that's kind of what we're going to do with this show. Walker, you want to set up how we're going to do this show tonight?
Yeah, so we've compiled a bunch of the voices of Northeast Georgia around the area. We've got a lot of radio calls, video stream calls that we're going to pull up throughout the night and just kind of listen in to some of the voices of Northeast Georgia and give our viewers and our fans a chance to hear a bunch of games going on, and we'll drop in with what it means for our Pick'em show standings, what it means for our
surveying, scoring,
everything, really, playoffs. And I think we're getting Dawson and GAC pulled up right now. Let's go to Tim Whitmire in the North Georgia Sports Link.
We're working on getting Tim Whitmire uploaded here.
Engineering,
If we get the screen to
Brandon, I
play
think
here in just a moment. So let's keep looking around the area at some of the action.
I heard it right there,
did you
Bo.
hear
I know
it?
we're
Okay.
working. Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, well let's hear it again.
Well, now I don't hear it.
Again,
there he goes.
A couple of good holes to run through and gave Gunner a little time to throw the ball.
Allhouse to kick off for the first time. Jacob Vilkai had wrist surgery last week, had some pins put in, so he was ineligible today. Little pooch kick over here toward the sideline for GAC, and they get it, and they step out of bounds at the 32, and that's where GAC will be first and 10 at the 32. They're actually going to say 34-yard line. So they must know something about some of those deep back to kick away from them. Yeah, Strickland, I said he played defensive end. He's actually the nose guard, and they're doing a good job on that block also. Here comes GAC. They just passed it down the field last time with a bunch of short routes. Sort of showing the same pistol set. 2 receivers right, 2 to the left. Ball's on the right hash. And they hand off this time to Wilson. He has got a huge gap just to the outside, big yardage, and he's going to get to the corner there, and he's going to run deep into Tiger territory. Goes out of bounds inside the 20. So he goes from the 34, let's see, 16, 26, 36, 46, 52 yards down to the Tiger. We'll call it the 14. Big play there, cut to the outside. They went run, just a bounce right back. Miller looking down for a man coming open down there and bobbles a ball out there, but great defensive coverage out there. And a sportsmanlike penalty coming against Dawson County. One of our D-backs talked a little bit too much trash to the receiver. And that's going to be half the distance to the goal and probably automatic first down. And that player comes out and gets some encouragement. No, he's going back in there, coach. When the D-back coach is talking to him. So it changes. It's a great defensive play. Just keep your emotions in check. Not going to call him out for that. He'll learn. But I like the coach talking to him and pushing him right back out there instead of pulling him out of the games. And it was, it's unfortunate on the play, but actually it's second down. It's half a distance. So second down.
There's a live listen in to Tim Whitmire and Brendan Bennett over on the Sports Link tonight, GAC and Dawson County at Tiger Stadium. Now, Walker, some more technical problems on my end. I couldn't hear much of it unless I turned up my laptop here to try to see what was going on. But in that game, again, an important game in Region 6-3A tonight. Across the region, the Hab Central Winder Barrel game is another game we've been watching, and right now it's all Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, Donnie Warren is going off right now. It's 18-0, and then the Raiders have just recovered a fumble on the ensuing kickoff, so here comes Habersham Central again. I said it on the Pick'em Show last night, and I've said it a couple of times. Winder Barrow and Habersham Central, both teams that have been very inconsistent offensively throughout the season. It's two teams that one week they'll put up 25, 33, 48 points, whatever it ends up being. The next week they score 14 points and turn the ball over 3 or 4 times. So didn't really know what we were going to get in that game. Habersham Central, probably the more explosive offense, and we are seeing that here tonight. But this really sets up, if Habersham Central continues to roll here, sets up a potential Jackson County Habersham Central Region Championship game into the year, which could be a lot of fun. And I think that game's in Mount Airy.
I think it is, and that will be a lot of fun. Jackson County, though, putting a lot of points on the board last night, their last 2 weeks in a row. They have found the offense. You look at what that offense is run off of, Dalen Maxwell, R.J. Knapp III. Those two guys are really key in that offense, and they have found a rhythm so far the last 2 weeks, Walker.
Yeah, they've really found a rhythm. By the way, I don't know if we ever heard a score update from Tim Whitmire. Just saw it come through. It's GAC 7, Dawson 7. So a really close game there in Tiger Stadium there in the second quarter. Again, that was over on the North Georgia Sports Link. We heard from that one just a few minutes ago. And, one of those weeks where it seems like every single game is going to use one of Caleb Hutchins' words, it's a massive inflection point. Every game is going to be extremely important for the rest of the season now that we're in the second half. Region play either just getting underway or already underway. We're going down the path of every single game has massive playoff implications.
And that's the fun part of the season. We get to week 7 and we keep moving on because you look at what happens early on. You prepare for this moment in your schedule. And so it's going to get very interesting down the stretch. Give you another update. It's still 10-0 North Hall over Pickens. Does that score surprise you any?
Not really. I'm kind of surprised at where in the game it is at 10-0. In the middle of the second quarter, North Hall's only scored 10 points. We knew Pickens was going to be tough. It's always a tough place to play there in Jasper, but not surprised that North Hall's winning. Just surprised as to how the game has flowed to only have two times that the ball has found the scoreboard throughout the game.
So White and Lumpkin County, what have we heard out of that game? Anything?
Yeah, it's 14-0 Lumpkin County. Nolan Matthews, 45-yard rushing touchdown to get things going. Mason Hester's throwing the ball around for the Indians. So we mentioned they started to find a little bit of balance in the offense last week, and they're showing it off again here tonight.
Well, let's take a listen and see what we can hear out of Russ Stevens in the call here.
Because this has by far been White County's best drive of the night.
Absolutely.
How many plays?
They had 11 yards coming into this drive of offense, and they're already 10 plays, 40 yards right now.
Yeah.
Well, they'll go 1st and 10 from the Indian 25. Once again, they'll scrimmage from the far right hash or near their sideline. Going to go once again in there to Anderson. Freeman handed off, and we read that one lost back to the 32-yard line. Wendell stops him there for a tackle for loss, so 2nd down and a long 13 now for the Warriors. Actually, they're going to say no. He got marked back up. They moved it all the way down to the 27.
That's about the 5th time tonight they've had some questionable sparks.
They'll put it near the center of the field. They'll go twins right, twins left. Once again, Anderson going to be your back now. Stand back there with Freeman. Clock moving at 4:57. Freeman looks to fire. We jumped the route. The pass was intended for Waller. And who was that just stepped in front? Popko almost had 2. Popko may have gotten a popcorn as that one slipped through his fingers there, and he could have been off to the races. A lot of green in front of that young man.
And he's got a broke hand, so he's got a club on his right hand.
Well,
makes it kind of hard to catch.
He did knock it down.
He read it well.
Yes. All right.
They're out better than the receiver did.
14-0, 4:52, 3rd down and 12. Ball sets at the Indian 27-yard line. Warriors got twins right, twins left. Anderson going to be the back there with Freeman. Anderson going to take it, or Freeman's going to take it. Look, trying to go deep, going down inside, and pass overthrown, intended for Penrose, and that'll be a 4th down coming for the Warriors. And what have they got as far as a kicker, or this may be no man's land for them? They're going to run a man on. It looks like Waller will come in, and they're going to go for it once again. We had good coverage in there. I believe back deep that was going to be Colson Howell on the coverage for the Indians as he was step for step back there.
Yeah, I don't love the play call from the offense there. You want to give yourself a manageable 4th down. Instead, they went for the long ball and got 4th and long.
4th and 12. Freeman going to take it. We jump, but we get back. Clock moves at 6. They may go hard count. They try to, and they'll take a timeout. We'll take one with them here on the link.
Russ Stevens there on the call. And Lumpkin County, just a 14-0 game there at that one, Walker, as we're going to try to get into some more action here in just a moment.
Yeah, you heard White County trying to go for it there on 4th down. White County trying to find their first win of the season as well here tonight. Some other scores from around the area while we get ready to pull up another game from our local our area teams. Franklin County and Stevens County late second quarter tied at 3. I know that's kind of outside of our coverage area, but kind of an interesting score there. North Hall just scores again. They go up 17-0. And you know how we had technical difficulties? My second screen here in the hotel room is going absolutely nuts right now. All sorts of static. Can't see a thing.
Well, let's check into that Rabun County game. It's Rabun. It looks like they are up right now 21-0, I think is what we've got on the score here. Let's check in and see.
Wide open, wow. Reed Burrell. Oh, 42-yard touchdown pass from Ty Truelove to Reed Burrell, who was wide open.
And Reed and Ty had to improvise to make that happen.
All right. 42-yard touchdown pass, extra point pending. Wildcats are split out to the left. They break and go to their typical extra point formation.
Reed was just doing a simple go route and just kind of had to fade off a little bit and just, look, I'm open, and Ty hit him.
All right, Avila is up, and the extra point is good.
Skins. Wildcats score again.
All right, so with 10:08 left in the quarter, it's going to be a 28-0 lead for your Wildcats.
And Ty, I mean, running to his left and throwing, that's just a hard throw. Great job by Ty.
You know, we're up 28-0. I'm telling you, Coach Gillespie is giving these officials some information that they probably need because he's
engineered woods.
And Walker, there's the coverage of that game, and that game is pretty much out of control right now.
Yeah, we kind of expected that courtesy of the Wildcat Stream YouTube. And we knew Rabun County was really good. We knew Providence has been struggling. And so the only question was how quick would Rabun get off the bus and get things rolling. And it seems like Ty Truelove is doing everything he wants to do tonight.
Ty Truelove, he is one of those players that we expected to have a big season. And so far, he's having a pretty good season. Reed Giles also, speaking of pretty good.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Yeah, so, pretty good. But yeah, so they're having a pretty good season so far. And that's good to see for Rabun County. The last couple of seasons have not been what Rabun County football has been about. And now they have kind of turned the corner a bit under new coach Rance Gillespie up in Rabun. So right now they're kind of on pace to win that region championship or at least have a shot at winning the region championship there.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that all of these pieces were here last year. Just all of them were injured at different times. And so what could have been last year, and now Rance Gillespie taking control of the team, implementing his style of play. You get a healthy Ty Truelove. You get Reed Giles doing what Reed Giles does. And all of a sudden, this Rabun County team looks like a team, both offensively and defensively, that can make a run deep into the Class A Division I playoffs and potentially make it to the Bends.
Yeah, that's no doubt about that. We're trying to also look in right now, and we'll get into that Commerce Elbert County game coming up here on our friends over at WJJC as they cover Commerce. They are at the Granite Bowl, and Commerce having one of those seasons that
that's at Commerce.
Oh, is it at Commerce? It's wrong on the schedule here then. So let's see, at Commerce at Elbert. Whoops. So
the only reason I know that is because our friends at Potluck Football took a picture of the stadium there at it's Ray Lamb Stadium, right?
Ray Lamb Stadium. You're absolutely
right. Yeah, they took a picture of Ray Lamb Stadium as they were giving the weather report. Saying slight chance of rain there at Commerce tonight. A raincoat might be nice to have, but you don't need it. And they're playing football in Commerce.
Just a slight chance of rain. And again, if you're wondering exactly what's going on our airwaves tonight, well, we're waiting on Mother Nature to leave, to not take any more pictures of the field with lightning as Gainesville and Johns Creek are under a delay. I think 8:40-ish was the time they were going to restart that game. Also under a delay is East Hall, Monroe area. Again, kind of the same time there that they'll kick off that game over on AM 550 Gainesville, over on 94.5 The Lake. AM 550 and FM 102.9 is East Hall, Monroe area tonight. So we'll have those games for you, and we'll do some look-ins on those games as well. Walker, any scoring updates?
Yeah, White County on the board. We heard Russ Stevens talking about White County going for it on fourth down. They took the timeout, came out. A great touchdown pass from Alex Freeman to Gaines Clark for 27 yards. And with 4:31 left in the first half, it's now a 14-7 lead for the Indians of Lumpkin County in 6-3A action.
Let's take a look in at Commerce tonight. Commerce in Elbert County right now from WJJC over in Commerce.
To be a 7-yard line, so it'll be first and goal there for Elbert County at the Tigers 7, and that's the longest play from scrimmage for either team tonight. And it came right in that same hole that they've been kind of milking for the last couple of possessions. You know, they couldn't move it all around in the first quarter, but they found something. Herman is the tail of the eye here. They're up under center. It's the first time we've seen Baker up under center with too tight. At a timeout will be called by Elbert County. We'll take it with them. 60-second break. Back after this, they're with us.
There will be times in your life when you need a well-rounded.
And there's Commerce and Elbert County over in Commerce tonight at Ray Lamb Stadium, and an interesting battle for them, trying to, I think, get their first win of the season, right, Walker?
Yeah, Elbert County's gotten their first one of the season already, but your Commerce is looking for their first win of 2025 and of the new era of Commerce football, where we're not seeing the wing tee. We're seeing them spread it out, and they've scored points. They just haven't been able to stop teams very often. And so low-scoring game is definitely a good thing for Commerce, and we'll see if the Tigers can pull it out.
Some other games around the area tonight as we continue to roll through these. We already told you about Rabun and Providence Christian. We might look in on them again after a while, but so far, Rabun County all over Providence Christian in Region 8A Division 1. GAC Dawson, that update there was a tie game at one point at 7-7. And any changes to that, Walker?
No, not that I've seen.
Let's see what else we got going on here. We stroll through the area. 3-3, Franklin and Stevens County. I know that one's out of our area, but Franklin putting together a rather good season so far.
Yeah, they're 5-0 right now, and trying to get things rolling. And Stevens County has lost some games, but this game at the reservation, so always one that we look at as a tough place to play. And Franklin County struggling to get going.
Did you say this, or am I thinking you said this? Hab Central 10, Winder Barrow 9.
I think you thought I said that. Winder Barrow hasn't scored yet. We do have a score update coming out of Jefferson West Hall now. Jefferson leads 7-0, just getting underway in that one after a lightning delay. Freshman C.J. Hayes gets the rushing touchdown for the Dragons. A lot of question marks with that Dragon offense now without Max Brown. What happens with Jefferson and their offense? And looks like they're going to running back by committee. By the way, another score update. We're now tied in Dahlonega 14-14, a pick six by White County. And the Warriors, in a little bit of a rivalry game, we all thought this game might get out of hand, and the Warriors fighting back right now, tied at 14.
Really? We may have to go and take a live listen in on that game to see what's happening with Russ Stevens and Daniel McQuarrie. We got a McQuarrie on the call.
And Keith Holman.
Oh, and Keith Holman. Let's check in.
That's not a bad game plan on special teams.
Speaking of there one time, though,
Yeah.
move him to the up back.
Hey, we've switched them from left to right at the last minute, so I don't know. We'll see what kind of adjustments now, but 2:59 to play. It's all knotted at 14, and the Indians have the football, 1st and 10 from their 37. We're going to be stuck on that left hash mark. Seems like we've been there for the entire second half, as that's near White County sideline. So once again, we'll go trips now to the right side. Solo receiver left is Hulsey. Hester going to take it, going to pitch it to Nolan. Nolan trying to get the edge. He'll work forward, hit the 40. He's brought down and out of bounds by number 2. That was Godfrey. So gain all the way up to the 39. So a couple of yards for Nolan on that carry. But we do get to flip-flop it now to the right hash.
Yes, on the 40. Move the ball up. There.
Actually, now it goes 40, so gain of about 3.
Not the cleanest of spots.
So now we get a favorable 3 yards. Actually, yeah, they're going to say, 3. So second down and 7. We'll go trips now, left, solo receiver right. Going to go back again. Going to pass in there. Caught by the tight end. That was number 31. In there, that was Parker. And Parker gets us inside Warrior territory all the way down to the Warrior 48-yard line.
Yeah,
he fed that one into a tight window.
Yeah, that's a good throw. Good thing to see if you're Coach Webb coming off of your first pick 6 of the year. You got to have a short memory as a quarterback, and he stood up and slung that one, like you said, right into a tight window.
Seems like it's been an eternity since we've been in Warrior territory. Clock moving at 2:37. The ball's centered up almost in the center of the field. We'll go to work. Trips down to the left. Going to go. Pass going to go down in there for Powell. Jump ball. There's a pass interference. Is on the coverage was number 12, Tui, but he forced Powell out. But I believe a pass interference call is going to be the result of that one.
Yeah, Powell was able to come down with the football, but Tui had 2 hands right in his chest and was shoving him before the ball got there. That's an easy flag there for the back judge.
So we will move it. Actually, the Indians are retreating. They're going to call offensive pass interference. Nope. Okay, we retreated for a moment, but I was like, I don't know. So it's pass interference on the Warriors. They'll mark it off from the 48. So that'll put them inside the 40. Should be a first down, and it will be. And they'll go to the 33-yard line of the Warriors. So first and 10 Indians from the 33. 2:26 to go. It's 14-14. Well, we'll go again. We'll set Powell now, going to be solo receiver to the right of Mason. We'll go trips to the left side. And once again, we'll go. Mason going to fire it in there to Powell. He stops, and he'll go forward to the 25 and inside there near the first down marker as he just stops and curls and uses that big body to pick up a chain-moving first down for the Indians, and the clock stops at 2:20.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. You just keep kind of bully balling the corner there. He's, like I said, he's a much smaller corner, and you got your big body receiver. Just let him go down there and kind of box him out.
All right, first and 10, going to go up to Powell once again. Powell high points it, and he doesn't come down with it. Tui and him in on the battle, and Tui won that one. So forces a second down and 10 from the Warrior 22. Clock stops at 2:07. Elbert extends their lead, guys, 10-0 over Commerce. And Raven still on top of Providence 21-0. Decula on top of Discovery 7-0. Mill Creek on top of Central Gwinnett 21-0. That's interesting. Stevens County leads Franklin 10-3. Here it's second down and 10. Going to go on a tunnel screen to Powell. Powell going to work near the 18. They say no, he got to the 19-yard line. And it'll bring up third down and about 7 for the Indians. And the clock moves at 1:53 before halftime. Trying to get points here desperately to break the tie.
From the 19 of the Warriors.
So 104 to play here in the second. No urgency as of yet from the Indians as we let it move. We'll go now once again in timeout. White County will take one with them here on the link.
Interesting battle there, Walker, over in Dahlonega tonight.
Yeah, excuse me. Had a little hiccup there. You caught me off guard. I mean, White County we knew has been getting better, getting healthier. Gaines Clark getting back into the lineup for the Warriors is definitely a thing that White County fans love to see, but kind of expected Lumpkin County to be a little cleaner. And the pick six, you heard Daniel say first pick six of the year, thrown by Mason Hester. And haven't heard a lot of Nolan Matthews after the opening drive. So interesting to see what sort of adjustments Heath Webb makes whenever they can get to the half. You're hoping to just get to the half tied at 14 because it sounds like White County might be about to get the ball back.
You know, White County's been one of the teams this year that they've struggled with injuries. They've struggled down, the stretch here in the early part of the season. So I don't want to say it's good to see, but it is kind of good to see White County finding some offense. And, of course, when you have White and Lumpkin playing each other, we all know that's a bit of a rival game.
Absolutely. I mean, the only rival that might be bigger for Lumpkin County is Dawson, and the only rival that might be bigger for White County is Abersham Central. You can make an argument that Lumpkin White is each other's biggest rival historically. And so the fact that this game is tight, 2 years ago, this game went to 6 overtimes. So I don't think we're headed back there, but tied at 14, we might be headed back there. And Russ and Daniel and Keith could be in for a long night there at the burial ground.
Yeah, the hope that we are not headed back to that way, but you never know how that might happen and how that might be. But regardless, that is the way it's going over in 6-3A tonight. We talked about 6-3A being that type of region. This evening, we have a kind of a close match over in Pickens tonight, North Hall Pickens. Last score we had, I believe, was 10-0 in that one.
17-0. North Hall extended their lead, so the Trojans starting to pull away. Actually, they are now at halftime there in Jasper. 17-0. North Hall leading Pickens at the break. Pickens will get the ball to start the second half, and it's trending toward North Hall GAC, but we had Dawson County tied at 7 at last update against GAC. So the question is anybody going to push North Hall? Is anybody going to be the team that tries to knock them off? Otherwise, North Hall prance their way to another region championship.
Yeah, and you talk about asking that question. A lot of people have asked me that question. Can anybody knock North Hall off in the region? The answer that I always give them no, because North Hall has so many weapons. Now, North Hall can hurt themselves when you look at what's going on, down the stretch in a tight game, a 15-yard personal foul penalty late in a close game. Something like that's going to have to derail North Hall for them to lose, I believe, in the region, because they are just that strong.
Yeah, they're so well-rounded. When you take a look at how they can run the ball, they can throw the ball, they play sound defense, and their special teams doesn't make that many mistakes. You have to play almost a perfect game and hope that North Hall trips up a couple of times to have yourself in the game. And then, if you're playing in the Brickyard, you've got to hope against Brickyard magic too, because we all know that there's a lot of that when you're playing in the Brickyard.
Let's check back into that game real quick up in Dahlonega with Russ Stevens and Daniel McCreary and Keith Holman.
From the 20. Actually, 3rd down and 19. So, 69 seconds to play. Lumpkin wants the timeout. We'll take one with them. We'll be back in 30 seconds on the North Georgia Sports Link.
Well, we always pick the right time, Walker, to jump back into the live broadcast.
Well, and we just got an update from Tim Whitmire. There at the half, we were just talking about GAC and Dawson County. The Tigers up 7 at the break, and you mentioned McBrayer back into the fold for Dawson. Look at those stats. 19 carries, 130 yards, and both Tiger touchdowns. So that's how important he is to the Tigers, and he is managing that game to where Dawson County has the lead going into the break over the Spartans.
Yeah, very interesting score there. As we said, McBrayer out last week, back this week, and he's really putting on a show right now, a couple touchdowns. I would be interested to see the entire stats of that first half to see exactly what GAC's passing game looks like. They have a pretty decent receiving core, so apparently the Tiger defense has stepped it up a little bit tonight. But again, we don't know how many attempts that GAC has thrown this evening. But I think the biggest key in this one, Walker, is the fact that Dawson is not in the hole at halftime. And the previous, 4 games or 5 games, they have started in a hole. And that's even counting the Banks County game in which they won that game. So that's a huge win for them tonight to start out strong.
Yeah, I agree with that. We do have a couple more score updates coming in. They are underway at City Park. Gainesville already up 7-0. Nigel Newkirk, 75-yard touchdown on his first carry of the night. And watch out for the Double G Bulldogs, Bo. It's now 25-14, late first half. on a pick six. So the Habersham Central turnovers rearing their ugly head to allow the Double G Bulldogs back into it late first half. That's an interesting turn of events and momentum shift late in the half.
That is a momentum shift, and we said it, before the game, or when the game started. We were talking about how big of a game this was in Region 8 5A between Winder and Hab. I mean, this game right here for Hab Central, to me, is larger because of their overall hope to get to the Jackson County game playing for that region championship. So Winder might have something to do with that or say so with that coming up in the second half in that game. So, man, Jeff Hart up covering that game tonight, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one as it continues to roll on.
Yeah, Monroe area and East Hall just now kicking off as well over on AM 550 and FM 102.9. Of course, that Gainesville Johns Creek game on 94.5 FM The Lake. Also keeping our eyes on Cherokee Bluff, Oconee County, Chestatee, and Johnson. An interesting one in GIAA that I'm trying to find a score on, Bo. Lakeview and Riverside. I was the only person, I think, and maybe you picked them as well. I'll pick up our pickup rundown sheet right now. I was the only one, I think, and I was to pick Riverside. And the way that Jeff Lee has turned this Riverside program around to where they're being competitive in every game, I think he's done a great job through just a season and a half there at Riverside, making Riverside a team that's not a pushover.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you look at what Coach Lee brought in last year. He brought in kind of a new attitude to the program, and they did struggle last year. But now this year they have come out a totally different team, a totally different look. They have won a couple of games, so that's a huge start for them. And then here in the region contest against Lakeview, that could be even huger. I'm going to use that word. Huge. When you look at that, because that would, if Riverside can pull the win off, that's a big region win for them, and kind of a big statement in the region for Riverside football of saying, hey, look, we're here. We want to compete for region championships in that region. And we know what Coach Lee brings to the table. He brings that energy. He brings that spirit to the game. Actually, he texted me this morning at like 6:45 and said, get my butt up. It's time to GATA. And we all know what GATA is and of him being a Georgia Southern graduate playing football down there. But the excitement there that he's trying to build at Riverside hasn't been there in a while. And I think that's only going to continue to grow for that program.
I completely agree. Taking a look at some other scores from around the area that are just coming in. Elbert and Commerce 10-0. Blue Devils at the half. Excuse me. I don't know if I'm surprised by that score, Bo, in terms of Elbert County being up 10-0 at the half. I'm kind of surprised that Commerce has, just looking back at some tweets from Potluck, has gone negative yards nearly in the first half. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't been able to at least move the football on Elbert, who has given up a lot of points this year.
We've seen this before. We've seen programs that totally make a shift from what they've done for years to a different offense. And I think right now Commerce is still in the growing pains. I'm not going to say I think, I know, because when you go from running the triple option to running the spread offense, you're obviously going to have those issues, throughout the season of getting used to things differently. I mean, you had a program that was built on the run game, the triple option. Now you're setting up in a shotgun. You're going 3 and 4 wide. You're doing different things that you're not used to doing. So growing pains are going to happen at that type. I don't know if I'm surprised with that score or not, but, the way that Commerce is now moving into that direction, it's going to take more than 10 games, I believe, for them to get this offense, settled into the program. And it's going to take player buy-in. So it'll be interesting to watch how Commerce kind of grows this offense.
Trying to find some other scores that we haven't been able to keep up with so far tonight. Chestatee leading 21-0 over Johnson. That's in Region 6-3A. Expected Chestatee to win that game. pretty handily, I think. And so the War Eagles maybe exercising a few demons from last week where they got ran off the field by Lumpkin County at home. Now they get to bounce back before they take on Pickens in 2 weeks' time after the bye week. Chestatee still very much so in 6-3A's race.
Yeah, they are. I mean, when you look at what Chestatee has the capability of doing with that offense, the capability of grinding a lot of clock, a capability of scoring points. When you have a back like Ben Plemons coming out of the backfield and running like he does, it's they play so physical. Now, they've had some injuries that have hurt them down the stretch. We watched them against Lumpkin. Lumpkin totally blew them out there. And Nolan Matthews obviously getting his and Lumpkin winning big. But Chestatee has the capability, Walker, of putting it together down the stretch and being in the top 4.
Yeah, I definitely think that's not out of the realm of possibility. How about this one, Bo? Getting a scoreboard update from 8-3A, our game on AM 550 and FM 102.9. Monroe area drives right down the field, scores, goes up 7-0. East Hall returns the kickoff for a touchdown right after that. It's 7-7. They're 90 seconds into the game.
And well, let's listen into that game. If we're not in breaking, here's Brian Stewart and Gene Anderson on the call.
Made by Jit Carr, but let's check a flag back here at about the 44-yard line. Looks like it's going to be holding on Monroe area, the initial indication. Ineligible downfield against Monroe area. Penalty decline will bring up 4th down and 9.
Good coverage on that play. Mike Amara right on Jit Carr, probably one of the fastest guys on the field for Monroe area. He ran the wheel pattern, got out there, and the ball was pretty well thrown, I thought. But good job by Mara breaking that thing up.
Jason Jones will be deep to receive this punt. Bryce Bell, the punter for Monroe area. Jones is standing at the East Hall 30. Guess he's not expecting much leg here. 9:36 to play here in the first quarter. Monroe area and kind of that spread punt formation. Got the wide splits. I'm going to bring a couple of guys in. We're going to get an illegal shift.
Yeah.
Mandela Mongo was running in motion. Now we're going to get a timeout before the...
timeout call before the penalty?
Yeah, before the snap that would have resulted in a penalty. So Monroe area takes their first timeout. 9.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Let's check the Hardy Chevrolet scoreboard. As always, you can find new roads at Hardy Chevrolet Gainesville. Down in Gwinnett County, got Brookwood leading Parkview 22-6. We're talking about two teams that hate each other, Jim.
Yeah, that's just a rivalry that's deep.
Oh, yeah.
Deep.
That goes back a long way. Elbert County leads Commerce 10-0 at the half. North Hall leads Pickens County 17-0 at half. Don't forget, if you're listening to this game, don't fall into this stupor. We started an hour late is why a bunch of these games are at halftime. Mill Creek leads Central Gwinnett 24-6 at the half. Hart County leads Prince Avenue 21-13 at the half.
Maybe an upset in the making.
Potentially. Here at 7-7, East Hall hosting Monroe area. And the Purple Hurricanes are 4th and 9 from their own 43-yard line in punt formation. East Hall in kind of a punt-safe look. Jones is deep to receive. The kick, a low line drive. Jones just going to have to watch it hit at about the 24 and take a little bit of a hurricane roll down to the 22 where it will be picked up. It'll be 1st and 10 right there. First time we've seen the East Hall offense tonight. DeMarcus Harrison.
35-yard punt and no return.
Comes Harrison in the offense. They'll start in the empty formation. 3 receivers to the right, 2 to the left as they work right to left. East Hall in all black tonight. Black helmets, black jerseys, black pants, all trimmed in gold and white. Harrison takes the snap. Quarterback keeper right up the gut. He cuts at the 22, trying to get outside. Boy, he took the tackler with him up to the 24. Cooper Shoemate, the one who got the business end of Jamarcus's thighs.
Cooper Shoemate, a young man that I knew his daddy back when he played football and baseball and a little basketball, as a matter of fact, back in his early days down in Monroe. His daddy was some kind of athlete. And Cooper getting a lot of action as a sophomore.
Harrison fakes the toss, now trying to get outside. He's going to be tackled for a loss back at the 20-yard line, a 4-yard loss. He was trying to find the edge there and just couldn't. They faked the toss sweep out on the right side. Harrison just couldn't find any room out there. Good job by the Monroe area defense to close off the lane.
I believe that was Fat making that tackle.
That was our name of the week, Fat Scott.
And he ain't fat.
It's on the roster listed that way. Don't come at me.
He's fat.
8:27 to go. Clock running here in the first quarter. East Hall, Monroe area, tied up 7 apiece. Vikings are 3rd down and 12 from their own 20. Harrison in the shotgun. He takes the snap. Rolls to his left. Trying to tuck in and run. Now going to square up. Lob one a mile down the middle of the field, and it's intercepted by Monroe area. Kenzie Battle stepped in front of Chasen Jones at the Monroe 48-yard line. Caught it as he was sliding out of bounds. And a turnover will give the ball back to the Purple Hurricanes.
There's that name again. Fat Scott along with Daisy and Davis really putting some pressure.
There's a East Hall mistake, Walker, in this game that has started fiercely. And it's tied right now, but you see East Hall's first offensive series ends in a turnover.
Yeah, and you saw the Vikings got a defensive stop. We said which team's going to get the stop. Both defenses have given up points and given up a lot of points, but now it's East Hall making the mistake offensively, which we haven't seen a lot of mistakes offensively from that Vikings offense this season. It's been more so the defense not being able to stop teams. So we'll see if the defense can get one more stop and get Jamarcus back on the field. By the way, score update, Gainesville 14, Johns Creek 0. You've got Jefferson up now on West Hall 28-0. The Dragons just doing whatever they want to do. Habersham Central 25, Winder Barrow 14. Here's a stat from Jeff Hartbow. Raiders 267 total yards of offense. Bulldogs, which he didn't spell with the double G in the tweet, 99 total yards in the first half. So the Hab defense doing some good things, but the Hab offense has kept the double G Bulldogs in the game.
Well, it's what we expect when you have two teams like that play in a region race in Region 8 5A. Just looking down some of these scores, I mean, obviously you're talking about that Jefferson score, 28-0. 8-3A is one of those that we've said is wide open, but 28-0, West Hall still kind of struggling over there under first-year coach Najee Lyon. Nothing to do with him. It's just the fact that West Hall is kind of in that rebuilding phase of that program. But regardless of that, Jefferson also is reeling from a major injury to Max Brown, who they're without for the rest of the season. I think he underwent surgery on his knee, and he is sitting out, obviously, the rest of the season. So that is why I always say, and I think you kind of agree with me, that A3A has become like a dogfight between 4 teams, maybe 5 in that region.
Yeah, I think it's wide open. I think Jefferson's still probably the team to beat because their defense is still stout.
They are.
We'll see what the offense looks like when they play a team that's a little bit better than West Hall. Who does Jefferson have next? Do you know off the top of your head?
Monroe area, I believe, is next week for them.
Yeah, so let's see what the offense looks like against a more athletic defense in Monroe area. Cherokee Bluff, Oconee County, they're tied at 0 after 1 quarter of play. So those two teams definitely in it. Monroe area, East Hall, I think whoever loses that game still very much in the thick of things, because out of those 5 teams, I think anybody can win any given Friday night.
We want to apologize for just a moment for some more technical problems. And just for the record, full transparency here, Walker and I kind of came up with this idea on Thursday. I was in Daytona. We get home today, have Mother Nature throw this at us, and we went on the air with Caleb earlier on the tailgate show. We kind of thought we were going to be, in the lightning delay room for the station, but it kind of not Walker, but Caleb kind of took it on himself to continue on an extended pregame. Well, we were supposed to take that over. Then we had technical problems. Walker's had an echo for the first 30 minutes or so of the show. I think we have that fixed now. So, granted, we don't have a team of 5 or 6 people back here working. It's just me and Walker.
It's just us.
It's just us here. So So, hold up here in this little office in the house, and Walker obviously in his bedroom where he normally comes from.
Hotel room.
Hotel room. Oh yeah, you're hoteling.
On a road trip this week.
Yeah, so I think we have all of this kind of fixed. So when we do this again, maybe it will be perfect. But Walker, let's take a check in. Speaking of Caleb, he's on the call tonight over at City Park.
That thing there and get him loose. Couldn't quite do it, but they ended up accidentally getting 9 yards along the way. He just kind of put his hands on the back of those two offensive linemen and just rode them down to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, big 59 stud of it, kind of up with a cornerback over here, stayed on him. Really nice gain right there. Picked up 8 yards to say, well, you could almost give him 9 yards there. Sets up a 2nd and 1 right here.
Scoreboard gives him 9 officially, just inside the 25. 2nd and 1. High snap. Yulee gets it down. Fake throws over the middle. Caught at the 5 and down to the 1-yard line. That time it was Wilcox again. They got him on a good post pattern. He caught the ball, and I thought he was going to get in, but the Johns Creek defender just got his ankles, and he goes down to the 1.
Boy, Wilcox, now he's a good-looking freshman. Really nice, crisp route right there. I was watching him the whole time right there, and he went about 12 yards, planted his foot, took a dead left, and his quarterback hit him right there between the 8 and the 9 again, Caleb.
So Gainesville going to head up to the line. High snap. Yulee gets it down, and Newkirk will roll into the end zone for a touchdown. Somebody got his ankle, and he had to kind of fall across the goal line, but he did so pretty easily. Gainesville got a good push, and they are back in the end zone again. This time Newkirk with his 2nd touchdown of the night. Make it 20-0, Red Elephants.
Make it 20-0, and they're able to do it either which way you want to do it, whether it be by land or by air. Or land or by sea, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I tell you what, the Gainesville offense really looks like it's clicking tonight, and it all starts with those 5 guys up front because they are giving Cooley some time and they're creating some holes.
Gailey to try the extra point. Snaps good, holds good, kick is up, and it is good. And with 1:56 to go in the first quarter, it's now 21-0. Gainesville leading Johns Creek, as we'll keep it here on 94.5 FM The Lake. Again, we have
Walker, Gainesville in control of that game against a Johns Creek team, I believe, that has not scored a point this season.
Yeah, they still are in that predicament, trying to find their first points of 2025, and kind of a tough thing to do against a Gainesville Red Elephant defense that is salivating a little bit. They've given up a lot of points over the past 2 weeks. Won last week, but lost to Carrollton the week before that. Gave up a lot of points in both of those games. I think this is kind of a time where Gainesville is trying to show some people that, hey, our defense is still the team to beat here. And so wouldn't be surprised if Johns Creek is still looking for their first points when they take the field again next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that region, at Region 7, 5A, of course, we know that game with Milton's looming down the stretch. Also the game with Roswell down the stretch. So Gainesville has a couple important games left in the region if they are looking to compete for that region championship. Obviously, it goes through Milton, defending state champion. Milton just reloaded. So that game, everybody's going to have their eyes on that game in Class 5A because, obviously Milton comes into the season as the favorite to win it again. Gainesville probably up there in the top 5 or 6 to try to compete for that. But first, you have to get out of your region. And I think the old question comes up, would you rather beat them in region or beat them in the playoffs, or can you beat them 2 times?
Yeah, that's the question to ask for sure for Gainesville, especially Milton's going to be one of those teams that I'm not sure who can win against Milton this year other than Buford, who did week 1. I want to jump over quickly to 8-5A, though. We saw Jackson County get a win over Alcovy last night. We saw Flowery Branch take down East last, or that was 8-4A, excuse me. 8-5A, Jackson beat Alcovy. We've got Winder Barrow trailing Habersham Central at the half 25-14. Eastside and Madison County, kind of those other 2 teams in that little 4-team pod.
Mm-hmm.
You could throw Walnut Grove in there as well, but trying to figure out who's going to go up and try and beat Jackson County for the region title in 8-5A. Eastside up 16-7 late first half. Madison County just now getting on the board. Kind of surprising to me, especially given that Madison County playing at home, that's a very tough place to play, and Eastside just reeling off 16 quick points to start the night.
Yeah, and we saw Eastside against Flowery Branch last week, and Flowery Branch pulling the upset. And now, how big is that going to be if Eastside ends up winning this game here for Flowery Branch down the stretch? They have the tiebreaker over them, and what Flowery Branch is doing right now is nothing but rolling. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. Now, obviously, they're going to have to play North Oconee, so that game will be used obviously as a measuring stick for the Falcons. Can they compete a little bit with North Oconee? And that's not to say yes, it is to say that they're probably not going to beat North Oconee. I mean, North Oconee is, North Oconee. But if you can use that game as a measuring stick and to build on it, you can set yourself up to make a playoff run out of this region. You can also set yourself up, Walker, which they did with a win against Eastside, to get a home playoff spot. So that's huge for the Falcons. And then you look at Madison County and you see what's happening down there with Eastside. I don't think I'm surprised at what's happening with Eastside and Madison County at this moment.
North Oconee, by the way, up on Cedar Shoals 27-0. This is probably the most surprising score of the night, again, outside of our coverage area, but in one of the regions that we do cover. Clark Central only beating Appalachia 14-0 at halftime. I know Clark Central is not very good this year, but to only have scored 2 touchdowns against an Appalachia team that has traditionally not been very good, that is shocking to me. I thought this might be the get right game for Clark Central. Doesn't seem to be that way for the Glads.
Well, and on the flip side of that for Appalachia, hey, 14-0. That's you can see Appalachia and how they've struggled over the years. Playing Clark Central, who I know is not very good this year, but still, you're in a game right now. So if Appalachia can perhaps maybe put some points on the board and make this a game late in the game and have a shot, that would be a huge win for them. Even though Clark Central has struggled a little bit. By the way, a score, Cherokee Bluff is up on Oconee County right now. The last one we had was 7-0 in that one.
And got a score also from Lakeview, Fort Oglethorpe, and Union County in Blairsville. They must have gotten a late start because just 55 seconds ago, we got a score update into the first quarter. Tied at 0 between LFO and Union County.
Uh-oh. Who did I pick?
I know you picked Union County. You picked Union County as well.
That's right.
Both going for Camden Kendrick.
I haven't looked at the picks since I didn't join the Pick'em show last night, but I don't know how different they are from everybody else's, but I did pick the Tigers to be GAC. I'm not sure if you did or not, but
I did as well. Jeff did. Caleb was the only one who took GAC in that game. I was the only one who took Riverside. Everybody else were a clean sweep the rest of the way for all the other games, including all of us getting the win last night, Flowery Branch against East Forsyth. Taking a look at our dark horse dogs right now, you did get East Hall plus 16. That was your dark horse dog. So congratulations to you getting your first pick because Jeff took Winder Barrow plus 8 with the first pick of the day. Then you took East Forsyth. I took Riverside, and Caleb took West Hall plus 43, just trying to get his 2 points and get out of here. Not looking good for Caleb to get that cover, at least so far here tonight.
Should I be shocked on that one at all?
Another score update coming in. Monroe area 14, East Hall 7. So still within your plus 16, but Monroe area is on the board after getting that interception that we heard Brian and Gene talking about earlier.
Hey, Caleb did go with me on the East Hall pick, by the way. He and I are the only two that picked East Hall to beat Monroe area tonight. So that game obviously starting in an hour and a half rain delay or weather delay. It was going to go like 2.5 hours anyway. So it's going to be a long game.
It's going to be a very long game there. Cherokee Bluff and Oconee County now knotted up at 7 mid-second quarter. Another one of those in 8-3A that going to be a tight one that we're going to watch that was started in a weather delay and going to be one of those that comes down to the wire as well.
Well, Walker, let's go to Dawsonville. Let's see what's happening. Speaking of that GAC Dawson game, as with Tim Whitmire and Brendan Bennett on the call on the Sports Link.
Now they want to pass, and nothing's in there. Now they did find the guy with a little dragging across the middle, and if you're going to roll in there, no, the pass goes to Hughes. and they had a man go down, but he comes up slowly. One of their linemen over here, and it's 2nd and goal from the half-yard line, and now the guy lays down because he's hurt, and GAC will come out, and we'll take a injury timeout. You're tuned to the North Georgia Sports Link.
Well, Walker, we did it again.
So we're really good at this. You know, when they're doing this on NFL Red Zone or Westwood One with the college games, they probably have, 6 or 7 different producers listening into all of these games to make sure that the hosts don't go to a game that's about to go to a commercial break. We're just going on the fly.
We are on the fly. And speaking of that, I've got some stats that just flew in here on my phone from North Hall tonight. We'll check. Let's see here. Schliemann, he's 8 of 12, 73 yards passing in the first half. Parker Carlton, he's 4 carries, 58 yards. Touchdowns coming tonight for North Hall. Wyatt Tumlin back in action. That's good news for the Trojans. 6 carries, 47 yards. And a touchdown. Justin Allen, 5 carries, 22 yards, and a touchdown. And speaking of North Hall's rushing attack, those two that I just mentioned, Justin Allen, Wyatt Tumlin, they have been really key for the Trojans down the stretch here or in the first half of the season, because when you look at what they have done, they have shifted Parker a lot or more on defense because he plays in the second level there. So he has come in tonight and given North Hall some good carries, but you've seen Justin Allen, Wyatt Tumlin kind of step up with that. Also Smith McGarvey, the utility knife for North Hall. I mean, he can play quarterback, receiver, running back, and they use him everywhere they can use him. So it's good to see that Tumlin's back in action for them, who was hurt, I think, 2, maybe 3 games ago. So he's back in action tonight up in Jasper. So total yards in the first half, this might surprise you a little bit. 193 for North Hall, 73 passing and 120 rushing this evening. And total yards for Pickens, 93. 52 yards through the air, Walker, and 41 on the ground. Don't know if that shocks you or not.
Yeah, it kind of does. I know North Hall's generally a very balanced team, but they can take the top off of defenses whenever they want to, and those numbers seem a lot more balanced than I would expect them to be.
Well, you want to take a look at or listen in to WJJC out of Commerce and see what's happening over there with them, and let's see what's happening on the Tiger Radio Network. And it's a commercial break, so there you go.
Look at us.
Look at us again in that one. Let's go.
I can give a couple score updates.
All right, what you got?
Raven County leads Providence Christian 49-7 at halftime. Go Wildcats. LFO just scored early second quarter against Union County. It's now 7-0 in that one. The other score that I had just seen, where was it? Jefferson went up 35-0 on West Hall. Again, I know that's a massive shocker that Jefferson's scoring points, but just the way they are. Oh, you want to know why they're in commercial break there at Commerce?
Delay.
No, score update just coming in 54 seconds into the third quarter. Elbert County back on the board at 16-0.
There it is. Lumpkin County out of halftime yet? Do you know?
I don't know. But this should be pretty close to being out of halftime.
Let's check in. I believe they are.
Daniel, yeah.
Here's Russ and Daniel.
Maybe a spark to ignite the flame here as we'll go now tight from our left hash or near the White County sideline. One receiver right, one left. Nolan going to run straight ahead in between the tackles. Nolan bounces inside the 20, and he'll be inside, breaking a tackle inside the 15. He's got to go down. He's spinning, pulling people. He's still not on the turf, and forward progress will take him to the 15-yard line. That's a good enough gain of 15 for a first down.
You ask and you shall receive, Keith.
Hey, somebody challenged the big uglies up front in that situation, and they came through Armstrong, Turner, Beloga, Walls, and Souls out there now breaking the way. As they say, forward progress took him to the 16. So it'll be 1st and 10 from the Warriors' 16-yard line.
But that's exactly what you're talking about. You got it blocked pretty well up front, and he doesn't need a big crease. And now it's just one-on-one with the safety, and he was able to make a miss.
We'll stand once again on the left hash. We're going to go Holtze, going to be off one side. Powell wide out to the right. Going to go again to Nolan. Nolan runs right in the teeth. He makes a man miss inside the 15, down near the 10, and he'll be brought down there. So a gain of 6 on that carry brings up 2nd down and 4.
Keep feeding it.
Actually, they're going to mark him back to the 11. 14-14, if you're just joining us, we pulled off a special teams debacle as the ball landed quite on the 30. Warriors didn't get on it, and none other than number 25 in there, Xander Dorsey, recovered it, set up the Indians 1st and 10 from the 30. We've ran it twice with Nolan Matthews right in the teeth of the defense, and we've got it 2nd and 5 from the Warrior 11. Near the center of the field. Once again, Nolan going to get a dose. He's going to go inside the 10, narc him down at the 8-yard line. So 3rd down and about 3 now for the Indians as the clock moves at 10:18. 14-14. North Hall, as we said at halftime, 17-0 over Pickens. Dawson on top of GAC, 14-7. Commerce is trailing once again Elbert in the 3rd quarter, 16-0. And we'll go again. We welcome Sean Boyd in. We appreciate everything you do for us. Is here. It is now 3rd down and 2. Fumble, and Hester will have to fall on it. And we lose yardage all the way back to the 15. So shooter sells in the foot here. And it'll be now 4th down and 9.
Well, something there. Jacob Beloga, the center, ran off. He got banged up a couple plays ago. He's over here stretching with the trainer. So you had a new center in there for that snap. A little low and left. Hester couldn't handle it.
So Flakes will come on. He will attempt what is, it looks like, a 32-yard field goal. It is centered up, dead center, as we await to see if Flakes can connect. So the snap, the Howell hold, Flakes kick is up, and it is through. It puts us up 17-14 with 9:03 as Flake connects on that one. We'll take a
County and Russ Stevens on the call as the Indians take a 17-14 lead over White County in Region 6 3A play. Indians had a chance, Bo, to punch it in there for 6, but another miscue, a fumble backs them up, and they have to kick the field goal. Yeah, I think we might have another technical difficulty because I can't hear you again. But my audio's on.
How about now? Can you hear me now? You know what happened there? The mute button. You know, the producer here to my left forgot to turn the button back on, so we're here.
The producer to your left.
Yeah, let me do that for you here. I got it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was saying
all the sound effects too. The old school sound effects from the old Pick'em show on YouTube.
Yeah, we've got those. We've got to, you know, what do we got here? We got, can you do that?
I couldn't, but I trust it went through.
How about?
Yeah, I can hear a little bit.
Yeah, we have the old buttons here on the board, so I'll get the producer to hit those after a while for you. But what you,
I was wondering, you know, maybe we listen to we go in back to AM 550 and FM 102.9, and if you had the Jeff Hart button,
you know, it's probably over here. Somewhere, but maybe not. Oh, wait, no, that's not it.
Okay, well,
yeah, sorry.
One can hope, right?
One can hope. It's probably on this board. You know what is on the board is
Here's some things you need to know. It's Jeff Hart's interesting stat of the show.
Yeah,
did you hear it stat of the show yesterday? I know you were listening into some of the show yesterday from Daytona Beach.
I did hear. I think he shared it with me. Yeah, he texted to me.
Caleb got me very good because the stat was 42 and 4-2, and then Jeff took a little pause, and Caleb said, "Are we on Sesame Street?" And I lost it.
Did Brian do this?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Just wondering if he did that one because it needed that one. Well, let's check in with that game that you're talking about, that East Hall. Let's see if they're not in commercial break. Here we go. Brian Stewart, Gene Anderson on the call on AM 550 FM 102.9.
No, they threw one the first drive.
And that's it.
They had a completion too, if I remember correctly. They had a 12-yard back up. They had an incomplete pass on their second drive. They must have decided it didn't work then, so they ain't gonna do it again.
I mean, the way they're running the ball, I don't know why you would do anything that's not run the ball.
They're holding on to it well on a relatively wet field. Is this still the first quarter?
Somehow.
Yeah, I knew the answer. That was one of those rhetorical questions.
It's the squib kick from Kinney. It'll bounce at the 20 and be taken to the far side of the field. 25, cut back at the 30 and tackled up around the 31 goes Jermani Jones. It'll be 1st and 10 East Hall from the 31, working right to left. That was Manga on the tackle for the Purple Hurricanes.
Watching Manga, he's looking for somebody to hit hard. He didn't even wrap him up. He just ran in there and hit him hard. Let somebody else finish him off.
67 seconds remain here in the first quarter. 21-14 Monroe area. East Hall with their third possession of the night. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Harrison in the shotgun. There's the snap. Give it to Pruitt up the middle. Pruitt breaks a tackle. 35, 37, 38 yard line. Picked up 7. That'll bring up 2nd down and 3.
Or touchdown, just take it right back up the field.
Yeah, if you were watching this game, just don't take a bathroom break. You don't have time. 2nd and 3 from the 38. Harrison in the shotgun. There's the snap. Fake it to Pruitt. Harrison starts right, cuts back to the middle, drives the pile forward across the 39, still going across the 40 to the 42-yard line. He got 4 yards on the play and a 1st down.
Wow.
Game clock at 31 seconds. Play clock's at 35. We'll see if they get these chain spotted. Yeah, there the game clock goes. East Hall does not have to snap it again, but I imagine they will.
Why wouldn't they? Many plays you
kind of thought as much as your defense has been on the field, you might want to give them a breather, but it is 1st and 10 at the 43. Harrison takes the snap, drops the throw, throws a dart down the middle. It's caught at the 49 and tackled up around the 50. I think that was
number 8.
Cohen Bryant on the catch.
Tight end. I think he was spread out, but that is your tight end.
And that is going to do it for quarter number 1. Fireworks here on Valhalla. More of it to come, I'm sure. Second quarter coming up. Monroe area on top. 21-14 on WDUN.
Leave it up to Gene to ask if it's still the first quarter. That was a great comment by Gene over there. Yes, Gene, it still is the first quarter. And what we expected to be 21-14 here at the end of the first quarter. And only more and more of those points will be put on the scoreboard before the night is over with.
I think I had my 70-63 prediction 1 week early. I know last week you saw 52-35 East Jackson and East Hall, but this one's trending towards 70-63 very quick. I mean, if you extrapolate 4 quarters off of 21-14, it's 84 to 56 is the final score in that game. If each quarter goes 21-14 in favor of Monroe area, you're looking at an 84 spot put up by the Purple Hurricane.
You know, I was originally supposed to have this game tonight over on FM 102.9, and now I'm thinking, I'm glad I'm sitting here because it's going to go for a long time with the first quarter just ending at, 9:11. Granted, there was an hour and a half weather delay for them to start, but regardless, I don't believe we're going to see a running clock in the fourth quarter in this game. I think we're going to see this game come down to some type of miracle play in the fourth quarter that's going to give the team, whoever, at Monroe area, East Hall, both of them can do the same thing. They can score when they want to, and it could come down to that tonight.
2:37 left in the third quarter, and Jasper North Hall now leads 24-0. So Trojans will stay unbeaten, it looks like, going into the second half of their region schedule as they knock off Pickens. That's one of the major hurdles they had left in their quest to repeat as Region 6-3A champs. I'd venture to say, Bo, that they have two major hurdles left, although Dawson is making a case to make it three. I would say GAC, Lumpkin, and Dawson, kind of those three major hurdles left for North Hall to try and repeat.
Yeah, you can't count out Lumpkin to give North Hall a run for their money. I think when you look at those teams that you just mentioned, GAC is obviously going to try to give them a run for their money. You look at Dawson. How is Dawson going to develop before the end of the season? Because that's the final game of the season in week 12. So, or actually week 11. I think they end up week early. But when you see that, I think Lumpkin, because of I think the history there's a little bit of a rivalry between those two, and I think Lumpkin has the ability to be a pesky with Nolan. That they'll have some issues taking Nolan down, because I've said it all year. Nolan's going to get his in the game, and he's such a hard physical runner that I have a feeling that Lumpkin will give North Hall a run for their money later. When is that game? Do we know?
I think it's the 18th.
The 18th. Okay. So, yeah, that'll be definitely interesting to see. You got another, 3 weeks to get ready for that game. Obviously, both teams are going to be clicking, I would say, on all cylinders, barring any major injuries that happen to either team. So, that game is one to watch, because I believe Lumpkin can give North Hall a run.
Well, it was 15 years ago, and I know I mentioned this on a Pick'em show earlier this year, 15 years ago, that we went into the Brickyard and knocked off North Hall. And this Lumpkin County team has a lot of similarities to what we had: the ability to throw the ball, to keep things balanced, but a very strong rushing attack. You remember Michael Flanagan, Ian McIntosh in the backfield at that time, Taylor Guthrie as the quarterback, throwing the ball all over the field and rushing it as well. This year for Lumpkin County, Mason Hester throwing the ball, the ability to run it. Nolan Matthews being able to run the ball. And then there are some receivers out on the outside, including Wolf Harbin, 6'3". There are a lot of similarities in the roster type. I think North Hall is a better team than that 2010 North Hall team was. So I think North Hall is a step better, but it's a game that if Lumpkin County can control the possession a little bit, it becomes very close, and you're going to have to rely on a little bit of Brickyard magic, I think, if you're North Hall.
Go back to the Bluff game and in the East Hall game with North Hall. You talk about being able to throw the ball, and I know when you take that East Hall game, there's a lot of athletes on the East Hall side of the ball, and that's not taking away anything from Lumpkin, but you were talking about the ability to throw the ball. Well, both Bluff and East Hall had the ability to throw the football. So if Lumpkin can come in and have a balanced attack against North Hall and their defense play well, I mean, that's the other key. Are you going to have a high-scoring game? That's the big question. Will you have a 38-35 game, or 35-34 game, or 35-28 game when those two play? That's the other question. We've kind of talked about the offense and how the offense can be a little vulnerable in the secondary at times against teams that can throw the ball. So if Lumpkin can put that together, it'll be a fun game at the Brickyard on October 17th, to be exact.
Got a couple of score updates coming in, and want to jump down to double A. Double A or single A? East Jackson.
Double A.
Hebron leads East Jackson 38-3. We knew Hebron was good. Kind of surprised, though, that East Jackson only able to muster a field goal in the first half.
Yeah, this is I don't want to say an interesting score, because it's kind of what I thought could happen. Granted, East Jackson has put on a great non-region schedule. What did they finish, 5-0 in the non-region play?
Yeah, 5-0, yeah.
Last week, surviving, at East Hall Stadium. Just a crazy game. Both teams got their offense. East Jackson just capitalized on East Hall's mistakes last week. So you saw that happen, and then you see Hebron coming up the next week, knowing how good they are. That was the next big true test for East Jackson, and so far they're really not standing up to the test with a 38-3 score.
And Lumpkin back on the board again in Dahlonega. Nolan Matthews, 5-yard touchdown run. We just talked a lot about him. They take a 24-14 lead over White County. Mentioned going into halftime what adjustments would Heath Webb makes. It looks like running the football and focusing on running the football against a White County defensive front that is probably their strongest part of their team, Bo, but also still very injury depleted.
Yeah, and you heard Russ talk about when we listened in just a moment ago, right before the fumble and the Nolan Matthews run about the, what do you call them, the big uglies up front. Decided to come out in the second half and I guess impose their wills, especially on that drive. So we know how Heath Webb likes to make those adjustments, and Heath Webb will go to what is obviously working for him. And if you can get the guys up front to make that push, and offensively, that's key. But then you talk about on the defensive front, that's also key. I mean, you're tied at halftime, 14-14. So you've got to find something in your defense to slow whatever White County was doing down. And so far, it looks like they're doing that and getting complimented by their offense as well.
Rabun up 49-7 at last update. I believe this is the same. Is Hart County in East Jackson's region or Raven's region? I can never remember if they're single A or double.
Yep, Hart's in 2A.
Okay, so we go back to that double A region. Hart County leading Prince Avenue 28-21, 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Are you surprised that Hart County up on Prince Avenue? Because we know how good of a team Prince Avenue is, and Hart County lost a close one to Lumpkin earlier this year, have lost a couple of really tight games, but it seems like are starting to turn the corner.
Well, flip-flop the records. Hart County rolling into this game 1-4, and that was not to be expected for Hart County ever, I don't think. But, their only win this season, a 51-20 win over Elbert County. Then they lost to Madison, Lumpkin Branch, and Monroe area. And not scoring a whole lot of points at that, taking away that Elbert County game. They put 51 on the board, but since then they've scored 14 3 times and 13 one time. So obviously their offense really not clicking the last 4 games. So that's a shocker because Prince Avenue coming into this game 4-1, and not necessarily a shabby 4-1, but they're 4-1 at that. So that's interesting. Keep an eye on that one. We'll see how that one ends tonight.
Definitely want to get our viewers back to listening to a game. Maybe we can check in with Tim Whitmire and Brandon Bennett from Tiger Stadium. But how about this one while we get that all synced up and make sure they're not in commercial break? Habersham Central to start the third quarter in the middle of a 15-play drive and are still on the Habersham or on the Winder Barrow 17-yard line heading in. The Double G Bulldogs have not touched the football in the second half yet, Bo.
How many plays did you say? 12?
15.
15. Well, we know what Coach Harrison's game plan is in the second half, right? Let's check in.
Run the ball.
Run the ball. Let's check in with Tim Whitmire, Brendan Bennett on the Sports Link. Dawson GAC.
Hard work.
Well, let's not, because they just went to commercial break. We'll get
there right when they come out of the break. They're heading to the fourth quarter. North Hall leading Pickens 24-0. Gainesville up on Johns Creek 41-0. This all on the Hardy Chevrolet scoreboard. Of course, Gainesville over on 94.5 FM The Lake. Oconee and Cherokee Bluff knotted up at 7. Habersham Central, we just mentioned, in the middle of their massively long drive to start the second half. They lead 25-14 over the Double G Bulldogs. And at last update, we had Dawson and GAC. Dawson leading 14-7 at halftime. Maybe Tim will give us the score when he comes back from commercial.
There it is. 14-14. They're tied. It just came through.
There we go.
So GAC Dawson tied. Must have been a scoring drive by GAC, as we'll see if we can check back in with him here in just a second and see what's happening. And
it said they fumbled on the 7-yard line, did Dawson County. So they were headed in, it sounds like.
And got nothing on that one. We'll check in here in just a minute again. I'm not sure what's happening there unless Tim's still on mute. We've done that once tonight.
Once or twice.
We know how that works. Let's check in with AM 550 and FM 102.9, Brian and Gene over at East Hall and see what's happening with that game.
What's the scoreboard look like over there?
Well, let's go find out, Gene.
We didn't have much time to look at it tonight.
Well,
every time I think we're going to stop, we just, they crank this car into overdrive and we just keep right on rolling. North Hall leads Pickens 24.
Well, this must be an interesting game. We'll keep it down while they go through the scoreboard. But as you heard them say, they just keep the car rolling. And I don't know.
Gene as the color guy, I could listen to his little tidbits all the time. I love when I get to work with him at Lanier Land because he's always got those little quips that make you really want to laugh on the air, but you really can't.
He does, and if you ever have any dead time to fill, you can always get a good story from Gene. There's a score update, by the way. Lumpkin going up 31-14 now on
Guess who
White
scored?
County. Who?
Nolan Matthews.
No way. Let's see.
By the way, they're at halftime over at Cherokee Bluff, tied at 7 as Cherokee Bluff gets an interception to end the half.
Let's check in with Brian and Gene right now.
Harrison drops the throw, rush coming, throws one sidearm near side, caught around the 41. Dragon tacklers with him. Chasen Jones is going to pick up a first down inside the 40, all the way down to the 37-yard line. He had two defenders in front of him. And it was Kinsey Carpenter who ultimately got him out of bounds, but a first down for the Vikings at the Hurricanes 37.
And I know he threw that one sidearm.
I could see that.
Yeah, he was close to it. I didn't even have to look through it. But
I had the best seat in the house to see that.
Yeah, that's an interesting. You can do a lot of things with that, but big guys can block that a lot easier.
They'll give it to Pruitt up the middle on first down. He's inside the 35, down to about the 32, a 5-yard gain. We'll bring up second down and 5. 4:36 to go as the clock runs. Gene, we got time for 6, maybe 7 more possessions at this rate. At
the rate we're going, this score could double. But the scoring has slowed down just a little.
Yeah, these teams have kind of settled into a rhythm here.
A fast rhythm, but a rhythm nonetheless.
Second and 5 from the 32. There's the snap. They will fake it to Pruitt, quarterback keeper, right side, inside the 30, and going to be run out of bounds around the 26-yard line. Going to be 6 yards and a first down for East Hall.
Tackler had opportunity to bring it down. Jamarcus back in the backfield, just unable to get it done. I mean, he's quick, and he's a tall, lean guy, but he's very strong.
First and 10 at the 26. 3 receivers right, 2 to the left as the Vikings work from the right hash. Harrison will bring Pruitt in motion from the right. He takes the snap. They're going to get a false start.
Yeah.
I didn't see where the motion was, Gene, but you could just see something was off.
I'm not so sure that the running back guy in motion didn't. Well, that would be that call.
Harrison clapped his hands and started taking a couple of steps backward, and the snap didn't come to him.
That's right. It was in the backfield, I think, is where the problem was.
4:08 to play here in the second quarter. It'll be first and 15 now for the Vikings from the 31. 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. 1 in the backfield is Pruitt. Purple Hurricanes put 4 across the line. There's the snap. Give it to Pruitt. A little draw up the middle. He gets inside the 30 down to the 28. Picked up 3 yards. That'll bring up second down and 12. He was brought to the ground by Fat Scott. And to be clear, we don't know if that's his real first name or not. That is how he is listed on the roster and in the starting lineup.
But he does not match that name. I mean, he's a very, very stout, muscular linebacker.
Second and 12. Harrison looks right now, rolls to the left, throws to the far side, caught at the 23, trying to break away and unable to do so.
Oh, wow.
Cohen Bryant, the whistles blew right as he
pulled his foot.
Right as he got his foot out from the bear trap that was hugging it down around the 22. That'll bring up 3rd down and 6. Crowd didn't like it, Gene, but sometimes when that whistle sounds, the defender starts to let up, which is what frees him. I don't know that to be the case, but I know that has happened several times.
I do believe his forward motion had ceased.
Clock running at 2:53. 3rd down and 6 from the 22. Harrison all by himself in the shotgun. 3 receivers to the right, 2 to the left. Now they'll bring Pruitt in motion from the left. Fake it to him. Jamarcus looking, throws one-on-one coverage. Catches incomplete, knocked away. He was trying to find one down for Jamani Jones down the right hash. And well covered by Kinsey Battle, who slapped it away into the back of the end zone. Well, East Hall's been turned away on downs once down on this end of the field. Looks like they are going to keep the offense on the field here. 4th and 6 from the 22.
Well, Walker, there you have it with that contest over at East Hall tonight, and an interesting score coming in while we were listening in. Hab Central Winder Barrow.
Yeah, Habersham Central punches in that really long drive, but then the Double G Bulldogs strike right back. It's 32-21 now as Habersham's going to get the ball back, and might be the time for the death march. If they can pull off another 16-play drive and get points, that might be all she wrote there in Mount Airy.
Yeah, that's I like the way you put the death march there because, as you said last time, a 16-play drive. I think we have Dawson back. Let's check in Dawson GAC. That game, I believe, is tied at 14.
Said, get ready. We're going to run it twice at them. If they stop it, they can have it.
Probably did. He's going to take another timeout. He's just wanting to work the clock down here. He is going to take another timeout and then make the play call here, I'm sure.
If I understand that.
And timeout, Dawson. We'll take one. We'll be back after this on the North Georgia Sports Law.
We can't catch a break with Dawson tonight, Bo. They keep going to break every single time we go to listen to Tim Whitmire and Brandon Bennett.
Yeah, we're trying to get a gauge on what was going on. I didn't get a gauge at all of what was happening. Not one. That game's tied 14-14, a big Region 6-3A game there. North Hall all over Pickens, 31-0, and it's kind of what I thought would happen in that game. A lot of people have asked me what my thoughts were on that Pickens game, and I felt like North Hall could go in and rout the Dragons, and so far that's exactly what's happening. Oconee and Cherokee Bluff, 7-7. Does that surprise you any?
No, honestly thought it might be 14-14 at halftime is what if you would have asked me pregame what my prediction was. So 7-7, not surprising at all. It's been a nasty night in terms of rain, thunderstorms. So the ball's a little slick. Both teams like to, slug it out. There's not going to be a lot of passing attempts in that game. Cherokee Bluff scored on a pass to Malcolm Mitchell, but that's really the only passing play that we've seen break off for the Bears or the Warriors. So 7-7, not that shocking to me.
Hey, let's give a tip of the hat right now. And I know it's a close game. I'm going to tip the hat regardless because Towns is in this game, 21-14. They're up they're hosting Dixie, South Carolina, but they're 3-2 on the season, coming off a win against Butler last week, trying to string 2 wins in a row together. Again for the second time this season, but they're sitting at 3-2, and they're in this game right now, 21-14.
Yeah, credit to the Indians. They play a non-region schedule, play a lot of teams from on the other side of the border in Tennessee and South Carolina, and good job on them to be in games. It's been a Towns County program that I know Coach Rockmore is trying to build back up. He's had a couple of years where they've won a lot of games, more often than not, though, kind of hovering around 500. So credit to Towns County. They're trying to build that thing back up.
Let's check back in with Tim and Brandon over at Tiger Stadium in Dawsonville. GAC Dawson tied at 14.
They need to get inside the 14. Gunner puts Sorensen in motion. Hands off to Cody. He's got a daylight. He's running hard. He's down to about the 15. They're going to say 16-yard line. 3 yards to go. Kid's tired. But he's not running like it, is he? Third down. Third down and 4. Clock is at 3 minutes to go in the game. I don't know if they'd kick a field goal or not, but they're working this clock as much as they can. Third down coming here. Ball's in the middle of the field. Sorensen in motion. Hand off to Cody. Cody runs up in there. Inside the 15. It's going to be, they only going to give him 1. Going to give him a yard gain on this. It's 4th down. I think you still go for it here.
Ball's going to be spotted at the 16.
16. I thought he got to the 15.
4th down.
And the Tigers are going to talk about something here. And the Tigers burned their final timeout, I believe. I think they did, but we got a timeout on the field. We'll be back after this. You're tuned to the North Georgia Sports Link.
Well, we definitely want to finish the end of that game.
We'll go right back to that here in just a minute. How about this? We're going to jump outside of high school football for a second, Bo. Florida State, number 8 in the nation, taking on Virginia tonight.
Friday night.
Cavaliers up 28-21 in the third quarter.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a bit shocking.
Late third quarter.
I got to say, Friday night college football game just, late West Coast game's fine, but I'm just not a fan of them. But that's a very interesting score because Florida State's putting together a pretty solid season. And that's not to say you can't have a bad game, but when you have a bad game against Virginia, that's going to hurt.
Into the third quarter in Commerce, Elbert County leads 16-6. Tigers on the board on the final play of the third quarter.
Let's check this right here.
4th down, Tigers adjust. Gunner's going to roll out and look. Got a man coming open down here, and it's intercepted. No, it's dropped at the 2. And GAC holds here with 2:27. Tigers got down the red zone twice tonight and couldn't stick it in.
Well, that's an interesting call there down at the inside the.
He dropped it, or it had been down on the 3.
Inside the 5, it sounded like.
Yeah, I think the throw was down to the 5. The ball was on the 16, and then threw it down inside the 10, where the ball was nearly intercepted, is what it sounded like from Tim. I think that game's still tied 14-14. A couple minutes left. GAC has the ball deep inside their own territory. They'll look to try and get down the field and get in position to try another game-winning field goal against a mountain school.
Yeah, 74 yards to go for a touchdown, but if they can get in field goal range within the next 2.5 minutes, that will be for the game winner there in Dawsonville. But what a pretty good game at Tiger Stadium tonight. Tied at 14, 2.5 minutes to go. That game over on NorthGeorgiaSportsLink.com. Walker, we don't have anything coming out of that Riverside Lakeview game, do we?
Yeah, the 2 games that we can't find any scoring updates from are Riverside Lakeview and Lanier Christian Rock Springs. So anybody that's watching us tonight on Facebook or YouTube, drop something in the live chat for us. That's where we found out about my sound issue. So we're keeping up with the live chat. And if you've got a score update from either of those schools or know any way to get score updates from those other than logging into NFHS, because both of us are using every bit of internet we can to live stream out.
Yeah, we are.
Pull in some radio calls. I don't know how much more we can pull to get some videos. But if you got those scores, send those our way in the live chat.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to find out that Riverside Lakeview score. That's a huge region game over in GIA. And what is that? The Division 4, I believe, is what they're in. And Jeff just sent some stats over from that Hab game right now. Donnie Warren looks like he's got 175 rushing yards tonight. And Dowdy, I think, isn't that
that's Winder Barrows,
Winder Barrows,
rusher,
running back.
So let me ask you this question from the red zone last night while we, wait on that potential end of that game on the GAC Dawson. We're going to keep a close ear to that one. That way we can get the end of that game to you as soon as it comes down to the wire. Jeff asked this question last night, and I'm curious your opinion. MJ Dowdy of Winder Barrow leads 5A in rushing, and Jeff wanted to know who we thought would lead our area teams in rushing by season's end across our area. Who do you think would be our leading rusher?
2nd and 6 for GAC.
That's a great question because Plemons was the leading rusher last year. Newkirk, though, he's having a good year over at Gainesville.
Nolan Matthews leading 3A in rushing right now.
Obviously, Nolan, which when I saw his numbers, I thought he was already over 1,000. What is he at? Like 832?
Yeah, 8 and change.
Yeah, 8 and change.
He had a slow start to the season. Cherokee Bluff really kind of contained him. Hart County contained him early on, but since that Hart County game, he has just exploded.
Reed Giles, not sure what his numbers are. That is a great question because
Nolan's got another touchdown. He just scored 9 seconds ago for Lumpkin to go up 38-14.
Let me answer the question. I will answer it with Nolan. I just feel like he's trending that way, unless Newkirk ends up having a big last part of the season. But I feel like Nolan probably will end up being that guy. Jeff did send me a question. He wanted to know what mountain stadium was the toughest to play in. What was your answer?
I said White County just because they always put us in a barn way far away from the field, and it was really loud. I also mentioned North Hall. I know that's not really a mountain school, but you just have no room on that opposite sideline where the visitors have to stand and the fans are right on top of you. Dawson County is a tough one. I know you mentioned J.P. King back in the day.
Union, I felt like Union is, and the reason I say like toughest mountain stadiums is because these stadiums were on the field. Like the stands were on the field. There were no tracks in between them. I felt like Rabun County, and even though Rabun County I believe has a track in between them, I felt like Rabun County was a tough place to play, just loud. J.P. King was always loud. The old Dawson County Stadium was always loud. So, and then I said Commerce, and I'm like you. I don't know if you consider that a mountain school, but the old Commerce Stadium, and then when they added the new bleachers on the visitor side, that just became just a big time loud stadium.
Couple score updates coming in on the Hardy Chevrolet scoreboard. Hebron 45, East Jackson 10. That's in the fourth quarter. 6:06 to go. North Hall leads Pickens 38-0. You've got Gainesville up 55-0.
I think we got
Johns Creek.
Tigers at the
field goal.
Down the
try.
field.
Let's see. Check in with
Dawson County and
Try the PAT.
Okay, so it looks like GAC has scored.
Slow developing. Kick is up, and it's good. 21-14. GAC leads. We'll take a 30-second break.
And now.
So GAC marched down the field, and I think I heard Tim say 37 seconds left. So maybe we roll into that final 37 seconds to see what happens.
Dawson's not going to have any timeouts left in that one, so going to be a tough hill to climb. GAC going to improve to, I believe, 3-0 in Region 6-3A. They had Johnson last week, so 3-0 to start region play. They've got North Hall coming up in 2 weeks.
107 to go.
Okay, so still some time.
So
the Tigers will probably go Air Tiger here.
Check and see how they drive down the field.
Twice.
Tim Woodmeyer, Brendan Bennett on the call in the
GAC
Sports League. It's 21-14 GAC.
On this kickoff. Looks like they may try a short kick. I don't know. So, GAC line it up and kick as GAC takes a lead here with 1:05 to go. Arnaud to kick it away. Approaches the ball. Kick is up, and we're going to run it from the 1. Maddie brings it up in there. Cuts to the outside, back to the inside. He's up to about the 27. And we have a minute to go in this game. Tigers will take over on the 29.
Again, you're listening to GAC Dawson County. GAC leading Dawson 21-14. A minute to go in this one. Tigers with the ball, back to the call with Tim Whitmire on the Sports Link.
Tiger Line has done an outstanding job tonight. We'll go Paxton and Cash out to the left. Maddie, Dylan, and Sorensen here to the right side. Maddie goes in motion. Gunner dropping back, looking with some pressure. Into the middle, intercepted at the 37. And they're going to run this.
Walker, you can officially say the game is over. An interception to end the game. GAC's defense stepping up to get a big region win there.
Yeah, and you heard Tim say as we started to pull the audio back that sounded like GAC was going to run it back. So the score going to look a lot worse than what I think this game was. Dawson County, I'm still a firm believer that they are going to cause fits in Region 6 3A for a lot of teams. They're gritty. Jabo Shaw has brought a grittiness to this Tiger Ball Club, and it doesn't matter if they're playing at home or away. They are not going to go down without a fight.
Yeah, and just each week, I think they end up, grasping more and more what Jabo and his staff has put in there to that program, the new philosophy and everything. So you had to think that this was going to be kind of a growing year for this Tiger program. And so far, they continue to grow each week. And tonight they showed that against a pretty good GAC team that will have some say-so in this region and will take away a state playoff spot potentially from a team in the region, because they're probably going to finish in the top 4.
Yeah. Yeah, at this rate now that they're 3-0, they've almost assuredly linked up or locked up a top 4 spot. Believe they only have 3 region games left. There's 7 teams in 6-3A, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So GAC already with 3 wins, which means 3 tie breaks. So all but locked up. In fact, they made there's probably some formula out there where they haven't mathematically locked it up yet, but I'd say 98% of the combinations have GAC in the top 4. So you're going to be looking at potentially if there's more teams getting in from 6-3A, which I think there will be. I think you'll see 5 teams from 6-3A, including GAC, in the playoffs in their respective divisions. You're going to be looking at that large bid based on PSR.
Well, if you look at PSR, speaking of that, great segue. Sandy Creek coming into this week atop those in 3A. Pickens at number 2. I don't know what that says about a number 6 ranking for North Hall, other than the formula, which North Hall obviously will move up, this week's PSR. But you have Aquinas at number 5. There's a spot. You have Calvary Day at 17. There's a spot. You have GAC at 20th. There's a spot right now. And you've got Trinity Christian just outside the top 32 at 34, which they're at 2 and 3, and they could move up into that top 32. So, if they're taking a spot in their way, then those 4 spots will open up to a public school, and you could see 8-3A get an extra team, 6-3A get an extra team in. So, it's not over by any means for any of those schools. But when you look at the power rankings or the postseason rankings, it could be interesting down the stretch, as it always is. But I still like the system. And I know we could go on for days on that system, but that's where we stand.
And that kind of leads me into one question that I want to ask you, because you've delved into the new, and I use new in quotations, format that they're going to roll out next year a little bit. Well, that they're talking about rolling out. It hasn't officially been voted on. Do 4 teams still get in? I know that they're going to rank everybody straight off the 32, but how is that going to work in terms of region bids?
The proposal that I have seen is region champs get in. And then after that, that's all you get. Then you're seeded by your PSR, which is, I think, what you and I have been screaming for, because this is going to solve a problem that we had last year. I think the problem with playing your region mates in the second round of the playoffs or the third round of the playoffs, when you have a system, which, again, I have no idea who come up with this system down at the GHSA. It was, to me, it was just like, okay, let's try to make the top 4 teams happy, because they're not happy by the fact that, number one, we're splitting private schools out, but they're still going to be in a public school region. They can still take away a public school playoff spot, right? But they're not playing public schools in the playoffs, so, but they're still in there. And here we are now with a system that says, okay, if you finish in the top 4 in your region, you get an automatic bid, but we're not going to throw everybody in a hat and seed them that way. We're going to seed the 1s first, then the 2s, then the 3 and 4s are going to go in a hat, and wherever you land is where you land. So now, if they do implement this new one, and see, now you're confused, just like we all were last year when this was first implemented, right? So now, if they do, and I hope they do, approve this, the region champs will get in, but they will not be seeded first. They will be seeded by their PSR. So wherever they land is where they're seeded. So I like that.
Exception to that, and correct me if I'm wrong, if a region champ is seated below 16th, they will bump them up to 16 to assure they get one home.
That's correct. Game. That's correct. So, which is fair. If you want to play it like that and make a little bit of sense over that, because you did win your region, so you should get at least one home game. And I totally agree with that, because you did win your region. There needs to be, in my opinion, an award for that other than the region championship. So yeah, you get a home game in the first round. The other thing on this that says in whatever they're going to vote on is this is going to go to all classifications. Now,
love it.
If they do decide to, go to 7 classifications, again, I know we have, how many do we have now? 9?
We have 7.
7, 8.
Yeah, we have 7. Call it, we have 1A through 6A, but 1A split 2 divisions, and then we've got a private division. So we have 8 total.
So now what's going to happen is you're going to go to 7 total, and you're going to have single A, just 1 classification. So, and then you're going to go all the way up to 7A, which will be interesting in how the numbers are cut off for each of those. And then the other little caveat that's being talked about and possibly will be implemented. Now, none of this has been officially voted on by the executive committee, but and put into action just yet, is the fact that you're going to see potentially a smidge of the competitive balance, because they're talking about maybe implementing the part where teams play up or down based on your overall program success. And, if you've got programs that are not successful, maybe you just have one that's pretty good, then potentially you could move down. So, that I think that's kind of a small tip of the hat to those that are wanting the competitive balance to come in to factor in this next reclass. And by the way, the FTE counts will come out first of next month, I believe. So we will get this kind of ball rolling.
They're due to the Department of Education next week, but generally, and Caleb and I talked about this last night in a commercial break, the Pick'em Show, generally they don't post for about a week and a half after that. So probably see those numbers come out around October 10th-ish, I would say. And then we'll start to get a reclass. By the way, stop me if you've heard this before. Nolan Matthews touchdown.
By the
time 72 yards out, Lumpkin leads 45-14.
I think we have an update coming out of Bluff Oconee up 14-7 now. And just saw a tweet come through on that one. So that's a interesting game over at Cherokee Bluff tonight in Region 8 3A. Also an update, 55-0 Gainesville at halftime over Johns Creek. I think it's pretty safe to say that both coaches will agree to have running clocks in the second, or running clock in the second half in that Gainesville game for both third and fourth quarters. So I think you can agree on that at halftime, which Gainesville's well on its way to scoring 100 points if they want to against Johns Creek tonight.
Now, let me ask you if you're surprised by this, Bo. The score at the end of the first quarter in Valhalla was 21-14 Monroe area. The score at halftime in Valhalla is 21-14 Monroe area. Are you surprised by that?
Absolutely surprised by that. And
shocked.
The last check-in we did with Brian and Gene, Gene said that both teams have kind of leveled out. So here we are now in a defensive battle to end this game, and a game that started very quick, and now it's 21-14 at halftime. And again, just to let you know, if you're watching us or if you're listening to us or whatever you may be doing, those games started an hour and a half late because of weather delays. And I don't know if you said the finals yet. North Hall final over Pickens 38-0 on that one. Final stats tonight, it looks to be North Hall with only 383 total yards of offense. They had 200 through the air and 183 on the ground. Very balanced game tonight for North Hall. Normally it's 450, 500 yards passing, over 600 yards of offense, but a balanced attack tonight. 209 total yards for Pickens. So the defense tonight stepping up, especially through the air, only giving up 73 yards through the air, 136 on the ground. Let's check individual stats here for North Hall. Wyatt Tumlin, a good return for him tonight. 12 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Parker Carlton tonight, 5 carries, 59 yards and a touchdown. And Justin Allen finishing with 29 yards and a touchdown. Schliemann, 15 of 20 for 200 yards. But all points scored on, or all touchdowns tonight scored on the ground for North Hall, which also kind of is a bit shocking to me. But regardless,
yeah, I would agree.
A 38-0 win for North Hall, and it just proves that the Trojans are just that good right now offensively and defensively, shutting out Pickens, a team that we thought was going to make a run for the Region 6 3A championship. North Hall said not so fast.
Yeah, North Hall imposing their will in that game for sure. We do have an update out of Chestatee and Johnson. Chestatee now up 55-0 in the third quarter against the Knights there. I don't know if we still have access to our friends over at Commerce, but Commerce driving late in the fourth quarter to try and pull this thing to within a possession. They've got it 1st and 10 on the Tiger 46 as the Tigers trying to mount a comeback in that region matchup.
We got them right here, our friends at WJJC.
You can get 3:12 left in the game. 16-6 Elbert County. Commerce has it at their own 40-yard line. 1st and 15. Wide receiver to the right, wins to the left. Back to pass. Kirk throws it complete. Griffin makes the catch. Gets across into Elbert County territory down to the 47-yard line. Commerce quickly up to the line of scrimmage. We only got one timeout, and we can't afford to strike it. It was a great catch by Griffin. It was. 2nd down and about 4 for the Tigers. He missed a couple gimmies early, but he earned that one. Back to pass. Pressure. And the ball is through. Elbert County's going to pick it up. And it's going to be Elbert County's ball at the Tigers 35. Kind of knocked out of his hand. And the big defensive tackle for Elbert County, he got one out with an injury earlier. That's Gerald Sims. I see his people friendly wearing the Sims t-shirt. He picked it up, and that's going to be the final nail in the coffin to Commerce. We got one timeout left. Whether or not we'll even call it or not, I'm not sure. There's still 2
Well, it sounds like, Bo, that they just turned that ball over there. So Commerce going to fall in that one. By the way, just got Lumpkin County stats. Final score in that one was 45-14. I want you to guess how many rushing yards. If I told you that Lumpkin County rushed for 257 yards tonight, How many rushing yards does Nolan Matthews end up with in his 5 touchdowns?
212.
Interestingly enough, he ended up with 272 yards when you take into account sacks and some fumbles in the backfield. So Nolan had more rushing yards than team total.
Wow. Wow. So he ended the night with 272.
272 yards and 5 touchdowns on just 21 touches.
Incredible. Not surprising, though.
Mason Hester 205 yards through the air on 14 of 26. Lumpkin County's defense came up big. Negative 19 rushing yards for White County tonight. Of course, that takes into account sacks. Alex Freeman sacked multiple times tonight. Ends up with an unofficial total of negative 82 rushing yards. That includes those sacks. But I think the biggest stat here in this one was White County, 47 passing yards, negative 19 rushing yards. That is a total of 28 total yards of offense tonight for White County. And you say, how'd they score the 14 points? Well, short field and pick 6. That's how they did it. Lumpkin County self-inflicted wounds there as the Indians pulled away in the second half, scoring 31 unanswered to finish off that game after it was tied 14-14.
Well, we talked about making adjustments in the second half, and obviously, they made those adjustments in the second half to pull away in that game. And again, that's Heath Webb coach team. But when you see what happens there with what they do and how Coach Webb makes those adjustments, and tonight they did so against White County. And credit White County. It was a 45-14 win for Lumpkin, but and again, I keep saying this because White County, it seems like, Walker, I don't know how many years in a row they have struggled with early season injuries that have kind of derailed some of the success they possibly could have had. But putting 14 points on the board tonight, I would say that that's something that they can build off of against a very good Lumpkin County team. So I guess credit them figuring that out. Got a score update in here. LFO 20, Union 8. So going to lose another game tonight, but that's okay. I'm talking about on my picks,
Well, yeah, we can't all go 11-1 every week like Caleb seems to be doing. We take some risks with our picks. Caleb very safe with his pick.
Caleb with a risk? What do you mean? Never would he.
By the way, Abersham Central and Winder Barrow 35-21 Raiders in the fourth quarter. Elbert County has just gone final. They defeat Commerce tonight 16-6. That game is final. You mentioned LFO up 20-6. Hebron defeats East Jackson tonight 55-10. That game has gone final as well. So starting to get some final scores roll in here on the Whip Around show. We're glad you've decided to join us here on YouTube and Facebook tonight as we try this thing out. It's been a lot of fun. But make sure you drop your comments in and, tell us what you think. Tell us, some ideas, how we can make this thing better. Not going to roll this thing out every week, but it's a nice little mix up for me and Bo to be able to do something tonight where, we've got only 2 games on our traditional airwaves, a chance for us to follow all the games around the area in live time. So make sure you drop your comments as to what you think and what you'd like to see.
Yeah, this was a quick put together deal. Walker's floated this around of us actually putting it on the radio airwaves, and we've just not got to that point yet. But we figured we'd throw the proof of concept out here tonight because he and I both could do it. Because, as Walker just said, only 2 games on our airwaves tonight because we had one on last night with that Flowery Branch East Forsyth game, which ended with Flowery Branch victorious there. So that's another final we can throw there. Jackson County also winners last night in their game. I think they played Alcovy, right? So that was a big win for them. What was that final, like 59 or 69?
A lot to a little.
Yeah, a lot to a little in that game. So Jackson County rolling there. I haven't got an update from Jeff lately out of that Hab game. We have 35-21, but I don't know if we've had any updates. Let's check and see with
Do we have radio from Winder Barrow that we can pull up?
What was that
I
station?
think we had. I think I found that was WJBB 1300 AM.
Let's see if
Maybe we can get that one pulled up here and see if we can get a listen in to our friends down at Winder Barrow. Chestatee was leading Johnson 55-0. Towns County trailing Dixie 21-14.
Let's see if I can pull this up and we can get some of this on the air. As we'll go here and we'll go and let's listen. See if looks like they have news on the air at this moment. So,
so maybe WJBB didn't make the trip up from Winder to Mount Airy.
Let's check here. And no. So from Jeff, who is at the game, 35-21, 132 left in that contest. So it looks like Hab Central is going to roll on and get the win tonight. A big win for them. That kind of sets it up as we thought it might set up for a region race down the stretch in Region 8-5A. When you look at Region 8-5A, Walker, you've got Jackson at the top at 2-0, and now you're going to have Hab Central in second place at 2-0. Jackson and then Winder's going to drop down to that third spot at 2-1. I don't know. Do we have any finals out of the Appalachia game yet?
Clark Central was up 38-0 against Appalachia, so a little bit of get back or get right for Clark Central for sure. By the way, Virginia just scored again. They're up at 7 again on Florida State in the fourth quarter. So
late in the fourth,
midway through the fourth.
So
6 minutes or so left.
Let's look at Hab Central right now. Going to get the win tonight. They're going to go into second place in this region. Are at least tied with Jackson County at 2-0. And they have Clark Central at Clark Central coming up, Alcovy, Appalachia. So 3 games they can win, and which does set up a Happy Halloween game at Jackson County for a showdown for the Region 8-5A championship. So it's all in front of Hab Central. And we've talked, I don't know, for the last 2 or 3 years that Hab has a shot, especially last year. Jeff has talked about it ad nauseum when you think about it. And now it's there. But do you see any of those games as trap games for Hab Central down the stretch here? I mean, Clark Central is not that good, but it's in Athens, and that perhaps next week is that a trap game?
Well, and that's what I was about to say. Clark Central is seen success tonight. I know it's against Appalachia, but they've put points on the board. They just blocked a punt to go up 38-0 against Appalachia. So they're seeing success, which gives momentum, gives confidence. So, and we've seen Habersham Central turn the ball over against a not very good team in White County. White County's gotten better. Don't get me wrong. Clark Central's gotten better throughout the year. But at the time, White County was decimated with injuries, and Habersham Central survived that game, turned it over 4 times. So you turn the ball over against Clark Central and give them opportunities to get confidence and get some momentum, could spiral out of control quick, and we could be talking about Clark Central pulling off an upset.
Yeah, you could see that. And then you have Jackson County, who has put 64 on Clark Central, 59 on Alcovy. They play Appalachia next week. Then they get Winder Barrow on the 17th. They'll have an off week in between that game. Now, granted, we see what Hab Central did with Winder tonight in that final that will soon be a final because Hab is taking a knee, or at least Jeff texted that 1 minute ago. So that's going to be a final here in a minute. But does Jackson County have that game against Winder Barrow, which is in Winder on October 17th? Is that potentially their trap game in 8-5A.
Yeah, that's the last major hurdle for Jackson County to get to that Halloween matchup against Habersham Central for a region title. Winder Barrow, a very tough place to play. You're going to be coming off of probably a couple of big wins. You mentioned Appalachia there before they get Winder Barrow. So you're going to be coming off of a big win against Alcovy, a big win probably over Appalachia. And all of a sudden, Winder Barrow, a team that is going to be playing probably for their playoff lives at that point. They are at least trying to get to that 3 seed and not be in the 4 seed, having to go up to a 1 seed and try and keep things going. So Winder Barrow is going to come ready to play. And if Jackson County doesn't in that game, comes out a little sluggish, the Double G Bulldogs more than capable of scoring points and pulling off an upset.
Well, you have a score update out of Bluff, 14-10, Oconee County in that game.
Yeah, Cherokee Bluff just kicked a field goal to go up in that game, or to cut into the lead in that game. Excuse me. I was just typing final score on that Winder Barrow Hab Central game, just went final. So 14-10. Bluff has not been able to get things rolling on offense after they found Malcolm Mitchell, on the deep ball to score their first touchdown of the game.
Did you say Malcolm Mitchell?
I started to say Malachi Mitchell. And then I said Malcolm Mitchell. I probably got it wrong both times.
Regardless of Mitchell, right?
Too many Mitchells have played football in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Hart County defeats Prince Avenue tonight, 31-28. That's an interesting score.
Say that again.
31-28. Hart County defeats Prince Avenue tonight.
Yeah, that is. We talked about that score earlier. And Hart, I think, led most of the way in that game. Hart getting a big region win.
Really the whole time, yeah.
Yeah, 1-4 in region or on the season, and they played Prince Avenue's 4-1. They get a big win. So that'll make those region standings kind of interesting, I guess, down the road when you look at what's happening throughout the region in that region, because that's a tough region. That's always been a tough region for football when you've got in 2A with Hebron. You look at East Jackson and some of those other teams that are in that region. So an interesting win tonight for the Bulldogs. What else we got?
Are they back from the second half? Are they back for the second half at Valhalla yet?
Let's check it out and see what Brian and Gene are talking about. See what kind of stories Gene's got on his mind here. Let's check it. It's game over on AM 515 FM 102.9 tonight. Brian and Gene from East Hall Stadium.
They do have to stop for a second because for Monroe area, that is Mason Townsend. His helmet came off, so he does have to exit for one play. But East Hall was huddled up as if ready for and Monroe's going to have to take a timeout. Yeah, Gene, both teams, I think, thought that play was stopping, but the Hurricane, who was shaken up, popped up and was running off the field on his own power. The trainers never came out, so there was never an injury timeout. And Monroe, I don't think, got the play call in and didn't have the formation they wanted. So they have to take a timeout here with 6:06 to go.
Yeah, they were lacking that one player. There's no question about it. They did have the two good defensive guys in there, number 8, which is, of course, we've used his name so much, Pat Scott, along with Dacian Davis, 2 really stout, well put together defensive players who they use out of the backfield to lead the way for the little scat back.
Let's check the Hardy Chevrolet scoreboard. Got some finals rolling in. Jefferson has knocked off West Hall 49-6. Oconee County now leads Cherokee Bluff 14-10. That game going into the fourth quarter. Hab Central has knocked off Winder Barrow 35-21. Your final score there. It's 21-14 here in Monroe area, leading East Hall. It's 3rd down and goal from the 2 for the Hurricanes. They'll come out in the shotgun this time. Harrison got 2 running backs to his right. There's the snap. Toss, sweep it to Carr. Carr cuts back to the middle. He stops short. East Hall, 2-man hit him down around the 2. No gain on the play, and that'll bring up 4th and goal. This East Hall defense, Gene, you talked about the tackling issues early on. Looked like they were ready to give about 80 points in the first quarter, but they have settled in and they have kept the Vikings in this ball game.
Yeah, really good job of tackling. Buffington, one of those guys, didn't pick up the number of the other, but good team, good gang tackling. Outstanding job to get this thing to fourth down.
And the ball is essentially exactly where you would put it for an extra point, so Monroe area will send the kicking unit out here. Here's Kinney to try what will be essentially a PAT, and it is up, and it is good. 5:25 to play here in the third quarter. Monroe area makes it a 10-point game.
Goes up 24-14 over East Hall on AM 550 and FM 102.9. We do have some other final scores rolling in. Jefferson knocks off West Hall tonight, 49-6. That game has gone final. Chestatee leads Johnson 63-0 in the fourth quarter. That game going to go final here in the next few minutes as they are under a running clock. Haven't seen any updates out of Gainesville and Johns Creek. That was 55-0 at halftime. We anticipated a running clock going in that one. Imagine they are back for the second half, and there is probably a running clock there at City Park, but Big Red rolling in that one. And the Tarps coming off the field at Truist Park. I know that's baseball play, but that tweet coming across our feeds right now. So they're getting back to action in Atlanta for the final 3 games of the season of Major League Baseball as the Braves host the Pirates. LFO takes a 23-8 lead late third quarter on Union County. So looks like the Panthers not going to be on the winning side here tonight.
Here's a score that could interest some folks out of North Forsyth region, North Atlanta over Alpharetta, 28-12. That is a final tonight in that game. Mill Creek knocking off Central Gwinnett, 45-6. Collins Hill over Mountain View, 48-0. Decula all over Discovery and 35-6. Of course, that coming out of Beaufort's region in 8-6-8 tonight. You know, that begs the question, any of those teams there have a shot against Beaufort down the stretch?
No, Beaufort. It's Beaufort. Another final score rolling in. Rabun improves to 6-0. They knock off Providence Christian tonight, 62-21. Say that's pretty good.
Let's talk to Reed. Let's see what Reed has to say about it. Pretty good. 6-0 start for Rabun. That is a big turnaround from the last couple of years for them, and they're well on their way in Region 8A Division I of being the team to beat for that region championship. It's been a while since they've been on top of the region, so that a big time score, and it just says that the offense is clicking and the defense is playing pretty well right now too.
Absolutely. I think we're talking about a Rabun County team, like I mentioned earlier tonight, a team that can make a very deep run in Class A Division I, potentially make a push toward the Benz. It'd be their first state championship game that they've played in since they played in the state championship at home during COVID times, I want to say.
I believe you're right. East Jackson falling tonight to Hebron Christian, 55-10. I don't know if you tossed that one out there, but there's that final. Athens Academy over Oglethorpe County, 43-21. Looks like that Elbert game's final. Commerce, Elbert winner 16-6. Just rolling through some more scores here that might be of interest throughout the area for you. Just a reminder to you, Flowery Branch winners last night, 38-19 over East Forsyth, and Jackson County over Oconee, 59-6. Those were Thursday night football scores. And, of course, we had the Flowery Branch game over on FM 102.9 and AM 550.
So I want to go into this Cherokee Bluff Oconee County game just for a minute, Bo. 14-10 into the third quarter. What I'm seeing as I'm scrolling through Twitter is that Cherokee Bluff is not able to get their defense off the field. Oconee County is converting a bunch of third and longs tonight. They keep their offense on the field. Does that trouble you in any way when you're talking about Cherokee Bluff? They still have Jefferson on the schedule. They still have Monroe area on the schedule. They still have East Hall on the schedule. Not able to get off the field on 3rd and longs is something that kind of makes me uneasy about Cherokee Bluff looking ahead in the rest of 8-3.
Well, you know what obviously makes Coach Tommy Jones uneasy about that same thing, and when you look at what their schedule is down the stretch, they still have Jefferson on that schedule. You still have East Hall on the schedule. When is that game? I'm trying to roll through this really quick here. 8-3-8.
East Hall's coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, East Hall is the finale.
Finale
at East Hall.
So maybe it's Jefferson that's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, Jefferson is the 24th. So, but then you've got Monroe area coming up on the 10th after the West Hall game. And look, I'm not trying to write West Hall off. If Bluff's having problems getting off the field on 3rd down, maybe that turns into be a game. But then you have Monroe area, and you talk about offenses that can score. Monroe area has proved that. I think the score, though, still over at East Hall is 21-14, or 24-14. But they have Monroe area coming up, and that is at Monroe area. They have to travel there. So that not only do you have kind of a longer-ish road trip, but getting off the field on 3rd down is going to become a concern for Coach Jones and his staff coming down the stretch, because there is nothing easy left on this schedule for them, unless you want to say West Hall. You might could chalk that up at a win for them. But when you've got Monroe area, Jefferson, and East Hall left on the schedule, 2 of the 3 that can score when they want to at times, and then Jefferson, who's put together a good offensive night tonight, who has a very good defense, yeah, you have to be worried a little bit.
Yeah, you got to be able to get off the field on 3rd down, especially 3rd and long. Like if it was Oconee County converting a lot of 3rd and 2s, I'm not as concerned, because we know how physical Oconee County can be. But the fact that it's 3rd and 6 or longer most of the time tonight, I think is a little bit shocking, because Cherokee Bluff secondary, we've seen them play well. We've seen the front 7 get pressure on a quarterback, and it seems like tonight just not able to kind of string it all together at the same time.
Yeah, and again, I know that'll be worked on over time with Coach Jones and his staff to get that corrected. But yeah, you know, if you remember last year, this game was close as well. It was coming down the stretch. This was one of those, I think, that Hurricane Helene, I think, pushed out to a Thursday game later on in the season when both teams are really clicking on all cylinders. And you know, now it's a tight game at Cherokee Bluff. So, you know, Oconee came into the season with a lot of question marks. So did Bluff. I mean, these 2 teams, new quarterbacks for both teams. So you look at all those question marks, and then you see how both teams are playing right now. The score says it's pretty even at this moment, but again, can't get off the field on 3rd and long. That's concerning.
Very, very concerning. I'm trying to pull up the end of this Virginia-Florida State game, because Florida State's driving. I know that that's not high school football related, but we're in the final minute, and the number 8 team in the nation has just scored, and an extra point's pending to tie this thing up. So interesting going on up in Charlottesville. Florida State, I kind of thought that Florida State was going to push to take down Miami maybe later on this year, and now struggling against Virginia. You mentioned Friday night football. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe it's the long road trip for a Friday night game, not ready for Saturday. I don't know. But wow.
Hey, it's Friday night football in college, man. Come on. That should just be reserved for the West Coast and not the East Coast, because at least here in Georgia, high school football rules on a Friday night. So
absolutely,
you know, it is what it is, I guess you could say. Any other interesting or any other finals yet?
LFO just took a 29-8 lead on Union County. They just finished the 3rd quarter. We're really still looking for a Riverside Lakeview score, still looking for an LCA Rock Springs score. Chestatee has gone final, 62-0 was the final score in that one. Under a minute to go in Dixie. It's Dixie 27, Towns County 21. So they're under a minute to go in that one as Towns County trails by 6. I was trying to refresh Twitter to see if there's anything else coming across. Not seeing anything immediately. We mentioned Clark Central 38-0 winners over Appalachia, kind of a get back game for the Gladiators, trying to see any sort of success, especially after Jackson County ran them off the field last night. Do you want to dive into 8A Division I a little bit?
Sure, let's roll with it.
Rabun County, 62-21 winners tonight. You see Elbert beat Commerce tonight, 16-6. Banks County off tonight. Those the teams in our area. Rabun County by far the team going away that seems to be the favorite. But outside of that, I'm not sure who falls in line, because we've seen Elbert County, struggle. We've seen Banks County push Cherokee Bluff to the limit. We've seen Commerce in some games, but not able to find a win. I'm not really sure where the rest of this region falls.
That's a very good question, because you've got Athens Academy, who's sitting there right now in that second spot. We all know that they're going to be booted out of that region, but they're going to take a spot away from a public school. So, man, I don't even know where to start here, because you look back at Banks County and how Banks County has started the season, and not just the fact how they started the season 0-5, but they started the season with one coach after one game and then had a new coach. And now, granted, Coach Mark Hollers was the offensive coordinator under Coach Todd Winter, and he has taken over that program, and he's had some close games. 32-22 loss to Dawson, and a 24-21 loss to Cherokee Bluff. And maybe this goes back to what we were talking about Bluff a while ago. Can't get off the field on 3rd and long. But Rabun County took care of business, though, back on the 19th, 35-0 against them. So I don't know where they fall. Obviously, how they're going to finish the season. They're potentially still in the race. They're only 0-1. Can they get a win against Elbert, Providence, and Commerce, and potentially put themselves up there? I think the Banks Commerce game is really, really interesting from that standpoint, because you see what Commerce has done. They've scored, 28. What was the final tonight again, Elbert?
16-6.
16-6, only 6 points tonight. So I don't know. This one's a tough one. And then you have Oglethorpe, who has beat East Hall and Washington Wilkes. Lost to Elbert, though, 27-0. I don't know how to.
They lost tonight too, or maybe that was a different Patriot that I saw get out.
Yeah, they were playing Athens Academy tonight, so you're probably right on that one. Don't know if I have a final for that one. Let's check.
I know Athens Academy was tweeting that game, as they always do. Shout out to those down at Athens Academy for always keeping things updated. By the way, Milton 34, Seconder 0. That's a final.
Okay, final here. Athens Academy 43, Oglethorpe County 21. So there's the final in that one. So that would explain, does it explain? I don't know if it does explain.
That region outside of Rabun County just seemed like I think Rabun County is head and shoulders better than Athens Academy. So I'm going ahead and giving Rabun County the region title.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
But outside of that, I mean, Athens Academy, yeah, they're probably the second best team, but 3, 4, 5, and you have to imagine 5's going to get a playoff spot because of all of the private schools in A Division I. So there's going to be a lot of at-larges there.
Okay, so here's the question. You go to single A D1, and
while you're pulling that up, Cherokee Bluff just scored a touchdown to go up 17-14 over Oconee County. 7 minutes to go in the game.
Down the stretch they come in that game. Not seeing Oglethorpe County. St. Commerce at 54, Providence Christian at 51, Elbert County at 50. And these are the postseason rankings currently as they sit. These do not have updated records yet on here. So these were as of today, this morning. Oglethorpe County in at 40th. So they're on the outside looking at, they're the closest.
How many private schools are in the top 32?
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is Ace Charter one?
I think so.
7. There's 8. So you've got 8.
So spot 40 gets you in.
Yeah, spot 40 would get you in at this moment. So Oglethorpe, maybe that's an answer to your question if the playoffs started today. You know, I don't think their postseason ranking for Oglethorpe County is going to suffer much at all because they lost to Athens Academy, who is 20th right now at 5-1 now, if you count counting that win. So that's not going to hurt them. What is kind of interesting, and I guess I felt like Rabun's non-region schedule was pretty good. They sit at 11th at 5-0 in the postseason rankings at this moment. So you've got Landmark Christian at the top, Swainsboro Fellowship Christian, Jasper County, Towers, Thomasville, Kings Ridge, Mount Bethel, Northeast, Woodfield Academy, and then Rabun. So, you know, the answer to your question, perhaps Oglethorpe is that team.
Maybe.
You know, so, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. 8A Division I, just extremely interesting around that 3-4 area. Going to be interesting to follow there. We've got all of our final scores, Bo, from 6-3A. I don't know if we want to check in on any games before we get into that discussion. We haven't gotten an update from Gainesville lately. I'm not sure if we can tell what's going on over on the lake, just to get a quick check-in.
Yeah, let's check in with the lake and see what's happening over there with Caleb and Trent. As that game was, we had, 55-0? Here we go.
At the half, yeah.
Catch and run. And first and goal, Red Elephants with 9:30 to play.
Yeah, nice little design.
There you go.
Right there. Just
9:30 to play.
Boot leg back, fading to the left, boot leg back over here to the right side. And
punch it in.
HP's been running some punts back and made a nice catch right there. Almost found himself in the end zone.
Green in the shotgun. Lions is a running back. 2 tight ends on the left, but they motion him now over to the right-hand side. Green hands off inside Lions. No, Green kept it himself to the 3, to the 2, to the 1. Touchdown. He stayed on his feet and got in over there on the right corner. A Gladiator couldn't quite bring him down on the edge. And Rex Green, the sophomore quarterback, runs for a 3-yard touchdown to push out the Gainesville lead.
Nice athletic play right there by Rex Green. Listen, he throws a nice ball. He commands the offense pretty well. He gets everybody lined up, and he's got to move right down there at the goal line to get in there for 6.
So they do put another score on the board. 8:37 and counting to play. The clock's still running here, by the way. And the extra point is going to be up and no good. Missed it. So 61-0, Gainesville leading Johns Creek. Let's take a break. You're listening to Gainesville Football 94.5 FM. The Lake.
61-0, Gainesville leading Johns Creek. Clock is still running there at City Park. So that game will finish up here in just a few minutes. Wanted to touch on 6-3A, Bo.
Okay.
We got all the final scores from all 4 games in that region tonight. The most interesting one, I think, GAC defeating Dawson 21-14. We've gotten a couple of updates from Tim Whitmire, who was on the call there for the North Georgia Sports Link. Dawson fumbled it on the 4-yard line and then got into the red zone again and could not find a way to get points. And you could say maybe should have kicked field goals, but even if you kick field goals both those times, you still lose the game by 1 point.
Go back. They fumbled twice inside the 10, one on the 7, one on the 4.
Yeah. Yeah, so 3 trips to the red zone, and 2 fumbles and a turnover on downs. But GAC again has to survive against somebody. So I don't really know what to think. I think maybe North Hall Lumpkin is kind of your region championship game, but North Hall does have to go to GAC to take on the Spartans. So I don't know what your thoughts are on 6-3A. I think we're looking toward a North Hall Lumpkin trip at the Brickyard in a few weeks for what's the proverbial region title game. But you know, a lot of big blowouts in those other 3 games in 6-3.
Okay, so if you check down the schedule, you've got North Hall traveling to GAC on October 10th. So they take a week off, get rested up, healed up, travel down to GAC. Then they face Lumpkin at home on the 17th. So 2 big games coming up for North Hall. Then they have the impending battle with Dawson in Dawsonville. If Dawson continues its kind of offensive upward trend of being in games, being that pest of the region. So that's interesting. You go down to Lumpkin though, and you see what Lumpkin has left here. They have they beat White County tonight. They get a win in 2 weeks against Johnson at home. Then of course they've got North Hall, Dawson, and Pickens. So they have a tough stretch to end the season, but they're going to be 3-1 heading into that North Hall game. They're going to be. North Hall is going to be interesting. They could be what is that? 3? They could be 4-1 or 3-1. Excuse me. They could be 4-0 or 3-1. They have GAC before Lumpkin. So regardless, though, whatever happens with North Hall GAC, that Lumpkin game could be for a tie of the region. Well, it would be. It would be for a tie of the region lead if Lumpkin wins the game. So, you know, it's setting up that way. It's setting up for little fireworks at the end. Then you look at Dawson. Dawson's got Johnson coming up next week. That should be a win. I think they can beat White County. I think they'll have a shot at Chestatee. And then they face Lumpkin on the 24th. We all know how that game goes. You know, it could be a game where obviously we know Nolan Matthews, 272 yards tonight. Could he do the same in that game? Yeah, he could. So it's hard to pinpoint how this is going to end, but it looks like that it could end up being a North Hall Lumpkin battle for a tie of the region lead. The only thing that's going to throw the wrinkle into it is if GAC upsets North Hall coming up on October the 10th.
Yeah, and then that would put GAC really in the driver's seat because they would have a tiebreak over North Hall. They've already got the tiebreak over Lumpkin County as well. So that puts GAC right there in the driver's seat in the case of any 2-way tie, or if it came down to a 3-way tie. They're 2-0 against those 2 teams, so you don't have to go to the +12, -12 in that scenario, which definitely makes for an interesting finish, just based off of how GAC has been able to sneak through.
Score update. Oconee has gone ahead 21-17, 3:48 to go in the 4th quarter over Cherokee Bluff. That is a shootout over there at Yona Field.
Yeah, that second half is definitely they've taken the top off the scoreboard and just starting to pile points on. There's 3 minutes and 48 seconds left, and Cherokee Bluff's got the ball, so plenty of time for the Bears in that one. 24-14 was our score. Monroe area leading East Hall on AM 550 and FM 102.9 at last update as well. We thought that game might be the one to take all the points tonight in 8-3A, but it turns out Oconee and Cherokee Bluff have been the ones scoring points lately.
I found this pink pin, so I was kind of waving at you. I have one more point on this 6-3A deal. Don't ask me why. Well, this is my wife's office. That's why it's pink. But when you look back at 6-3A, if you're Dawson, you're Lumpkin, Johnson, White County, Chestatee, you're pulling for North Hall against GAC. And the reason I say that is because if GAC wins over North Hall, as you said, it puts them in the driver's seat. GAC's remaining schedule, what does it look like? They end White County, Pickens, Chestatee. So, I mean, they could stumble against Pickens. But what happens is if GAC finishes atop the region standings, 6-3A does not get a 1 seed in the playoffs. So, and what I mean by that is
a top 8
seed in the playoffs. So that right there, and I'm sure GAC's just licking their chops.
They don't get an automatic top 8. They could, North Hall could, if they're number 9, slide into number 8, but it wouldn't be an automatic top 8.
It would not be, because North Hall at this moment, they're in the top 6. So, I mean, they're setting themselves up that they would probably slide into, unless, and we'd have to go and look and see who's leading regions right now. Otherwise, or in the other, private schools, I guess Aquinas is probably leading their region. So that would leave a spot open in the top 8.
Yeah.
If it were to end today. But regardless, that's what'll happen. If GAC wins the region, they'll take away that potentially that automatic top 8 seed.
Trying to track down an LCA score. I know that they post on Instagram a little bit, so maybe they posted something that we can look at. It was senior night tonight for the Lightning, but they have not posted a final score there. Has Lakeview posted a final score on Instagram? Kickoff was delayed to 8:15, 8:45. Okay, do have score updates on their Instagram. Lakeview up 27-0 with 11 minutes left.
Wow.
That was 14 minutes ago.
So Lakeview tonight finding some offense.
Yeah. And that both teams coming into that game 2-3, definitely overperforming Riverside, underperforming Lakeview Academy. But wow, Kiari Birch probably woke up a little bit.
Let's take another check into that East Hall Monroe area game. Last score we had 24-14 over in Rabbit Town tonight. Brian and Gene on the call over on AM 515 FM 102.9 tonight.
Just got him to the ground, but a first down nonetheless.
Yeah, tackle made by big number 36. That's Walt Jarrett. Somebody didn't like something.
Yeah, there were a couple of players. Looked like Easton Souza from Monroe area, and I believe that might have been Alex Marin or maybe Darius Ellison for East Hall were tangled up towards the end of that play. They gave him forward progress to the 24, so it'll be 1st and 10 for the Hurricanes. 9:22 to go as the clock runs. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Fake the toss. Quarterback keeper Harrison spins through the middle of the line, drives a couple of men with him down to about the 20, give him the 19. Picked up 5 yards. That'll bring up 2nd and 5. Monroe definitely taking their time now. First quarter of this game, Monroe was going at breakneck speed. Of course, Gene, you wonder if it's kind of a, they came out going so fast, caught East Hall off guard, couldn't keep up, and now they've just been body blowing East Hall here into the 4th quarter, just leaning on them. 2nd and 5 from the 19. Harrison takes the snap. Quarterback keep all the way again. He starts to the left, cuts to the right, drags a man with him. Tackled hard down around the 15-yard line. He's right at the line to gain. He's going to be about a yard short. They might have given him just inside the 15. It's going to be 3rd down and half a yard.
Buffington cleaned that up. A big number 99, Darius Ellison, who's been in on a lot of tackles tonight, stood him up and slowed him down.
Goal line formation here for the Purple Hurricanes. 2 fullbacks in the formation. And they go hard count. And got East Hall to jump offside again.
Wow. That hurt. That hurt.
2nd time tonight that they've gone hard count, and the Vikings have given it to them for free. 7:59 to go in the ball game. It'll be First down and goal from the 10. See if the Hurricanes stay in the goal line formation. They will. One receiver out wide to the left on the numbers. The ball's just about down the middle of the field. They'll base out of the Maryland I now. 2 fullbacks and Carr at tailback, and got more.
Wow.
Got more free.
Calls that one.
They didn't even go hard count this time, and East Hall gave him half the distance for free.
Big man just came in there and made contact.
They're going to send Darius Ellison to the sideline. Blade Carney will check in his place. So now first and goal from the 5. Single back formation. Carr's the tailback. Toss, fake the toss to the left side, throw to the flat, and it is too wide of target, incomplete down around the 3-yard line, intended for Dacian Davis.
Yeah.
Who kind of leaked out of the backfield to the right.
Interesting call out of that formation. It's one that I'm surprised teams don't run more often. Maybe that's the reason they just don't have the hands and all that sort of thing. But when you got that power eye, that jumbo or Maryland eye, as you call it, man, everybody thinks you're going to run it. You get somebody on the outside, usually they're open.
Traditional I formation this time. They'll give it to Carr on the left side. He crashes in there. Did he get in? Oh, yes, he did. Touchdown. Touchdown Monroe area with 7.5 minutes to play. They have blown this one open. It's now 37-21.
Oh, wow.
37-21, 38-21.
Yeah, third point after is pending there to make it 38-21. That game was close the last time we checked in, and all of a sudden points start piling on in Monroe area. Looks like they're going to get the region win tonight there in Valhalla.
Yeah, so that sets Monroe area at 1-0 in region play, and then 0-1 for East Hall to start region play. And we still have that barn burner going on over at Cherokee Bluff tonight. It was, what was the last score we had?
21-17 Oconee County with 3:48 to go.
So that one's still rolling. Did have an update, 27-0. I know we had that one earlier, but it's still 27-0. Lakeview with about 6 minutes left in that game over Riverside tonight.
Yeah, and still trying to track down an LCA score against Rock Springs. If anybody that's watching or listening knows anybody from LCA can get the score, drop it in the live chat, or share it on Twitter, tag at Friday Game Night on Twitter with the final score there. Want to take a look now, Bo, while we've got a minute, at our Dark Horse dog picks this past week or yesterday. Jeff had Winder Barrow +8 against Habersham Central. That didn't happen. Habersham Central ran away with that one and won by double figures. And how about this one for some funniness? We laughed that Caleb took West Hall +43. The final score was 49-6. He pushes. He gets a point.
Of course he does.
That's just funny. I took Riverside +11. That one looks like it's going to fall. Monroe area was a 16-point favorite against East Hall. That current score is 17 points, unless the PAT did not go through. The PAT did not go through. That's big for you, Bo.
Huge. I need East Hall to drive down and score. At least a field goal.
We'll see what happens there. Of course, the Dark Horse Dog segment on our Pick'em show, which airs 6 to 8 every Thursday night on AM 550 at FM 102.9. Also right here on YouTube and Facebook Live for those watching us on those tonight here on YouTube and Facebook. You can catch us on Thursday nights doing the Pick'em show, Dark Horse Dogs, coach interviews, player interviews, and just a bunch of fun over on the Pick'em show.
I got you an update.
Okay.
Update coming out of Bluff. Bluff just scored with just under a minute to go. They're up 24-21. Matter of fact, 56 seconds left in this one.
Wow. So a great game going on at Yona Field tonight. 24-21. Gainesville has gone final, 61-0 winners over Johns Creek. Johns Creek still looking for their first points of 2025.
Well, do we want to go whip around the scoreboard real quick and just give everybody finals since we're obviously
Yeah, absolutely. On the Hardy Chevrolet scoreboard, we're not going to get a Hardy Chevrolet scoreboard show on our airwaves tonight due to all the weather delays. So, welcome to the Whip Around Show, presented by Hardy Chevrolet. Final scores across our area tonight: Gainesville 61-0 winners over Johns Creek. It was North Hall 38, Pickens 0. Chestatee 62, Johnson 0. Jefferson defeats West Hall 49-6. It was Habersham Central over Winder Barrow 35-21. GAC survives against Dawson 21-14. Lumpkin County scores 31 unanswered on White County to win 45, to 14. Hebron Christian 55, East Jackson 10, Rabun 62, Providence 21. Elbert 16, Commerce 6, Dixie out of South Carolina 27, and Towns 21. Still have 4 games in our area that we're waiting on to go final.
Well, it's been a good night. Been a good show, by the way. As we sit here, wait for the final to come in of the Cherokee Bluff game and the Monroe area game, which that seems to be pretty much over. As in terms of, unless Stall has a miracle of a comeback. That game, though, 21-14 at halftime. East Hall's put 1 touchdown on the board here in the second half. Interesting is all I can say about that, as we see that one coming in as a soon-to-be a final for Monroe area in that tonight. I can't say on this scoreboard that anything has really surprised me on our area scoreboard this evening. I don't see.
Like I said, I think the only thing that really surprises me is that that North Hall shuts out Pickens. Not that North Hall doesn't win the game, because I think we all thought North Hall would win, but kind of thought Pickens would give a little bit more fight in that game, not get shut out in that game.
Yeah.
Credit to North Hall's defense, but it just shows how far ahead of everybody else it seems in 6-3A North Hall is.
Yeah, I can't say that did for me, because I said it earlier that I felt like North Hall had the ability to go into Pickens and come out with at least a 2-3 score win, and they pretty much did so tonight. So I think what that says is it says that North Hall is saying to the rest of the region that if you want to win the 6-3A championship, it comes through the Brickyard. It comes through North Hall. So again, there's some really good games down on this schedule in Region 6-3A that could change that in a heartbeat. But until that happens, this region is North Hall's to lose, in my opinion. And I'll say that until they get beat. And I know they've got GAC coming up, and we've already said that I've already said I feel like Lumpkin has an opportunity to kind of go in and play, the spoiler route for them, with their rushing attack, and can North Hall slow that down? Can Lumpkin slow North Hall's offense down, which is putting up insane numbers this year? So, 6-3A is North Hall's to lose, and let's just say down the stretch we come, and it could get interesting.
Could get very, very, very interesting as well. We do have a delay in the game at Union County versus LFO. It looks like there was an extended injury with about 3:36 left. Not sure who the injured player was. It was a Union County player by reports. Union trailing in that one 29-14 at the time. So that game with about 3.5 minutes to go. Of course, thoughts and prayers with
absolutely
any player who gets hurt, but especially one from our area, from Union County. Again, don't know who it is, but that's the reports coming out of that one. 6 minutes to play. Again, waiting on final scores to come from Valhalla and Cherokee Bluff.
Let's do one more check of this.
Yeah, go ahead.
This East Hall game. 6 minutes left in this one. Brian and Gene on the call.
Tonight.
These kickoffs have indeed been an adventure.
Will they squib it? Will they pooch it? Will they attempt to go deep? Will they onside kick it? Let's find out together, Fred.
Yeah.
They will onside kick it, and it will bounce out of bounds across the 50 at the 48-yard line.
Guess what else they're going to get off that kick? Good field position.
Yeah, they will once again be starting right around the midfield stripe. And by the way, Gene, final score from Virginia, where the Cavaliers have knocked off Florida State 46-38.
I'm not throwing my hands up on that score, by the way. I'm throwing the score, hands up at the score that I just have coming in. We'll try to get that. I think it's 38-28 Monroe area over East Hall. Oconee has just scored again, 28-24.
Wow.
7.6 seconds to play at that one.
And again, it's I have to imagine that it's the issues we talked about earlier with Cherokee Bluff not able to get off the field on 3rd and long. You know, Oconee County with under a minute was going to be airing the ball out, and sounds like they just moved the ball right down the field. And the secondary issues are what we're looking at as Cherokee Bluff going to have 7 seconds to go.
Wow, tonight, some stat lines coming out of that Hab Winder game. Donnie Warren tonight, 40 carries, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dowdy, 17 carries, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. Interesting.
Wow.
Another update here from Jeff Butler, who's over at Bluff. Had a big play to set up a 17-yard touchdown. So interesting game over at Bluff tonight. It's 3rd and 1 right now over at East Hall. Let's check it in.
East Hall still has all 3 timeouts.
Elijah Buffington with a good tackle out on the outside.
You know, Gene, I don't get much into transitive property here with football, but boy, howdy, it's hard to think about the team that bludgeoned Alabama the first week of the season, just lost to Virginia.
Yeah, I try not to think about those things.
It gives me hope, and as we learned from SEC Shorts, we don't like hope. They'll give it to Fat Scott on a little fullback trap.
Fat the fullback.
He'll pick up a first down at the 35.
I'm sorry, it's not often you can use the word fat in a good way.
That's his name.
Fat.
On our roster. Is it his birth name? I don't know. Is it biblical? I'm pretty sure not. But you know what? It's his name.
Well, unless it was some Pharaoh named Fat.
Perhaps.
I
don't pretend to be the foremost Bible scholar, but you got some weird ones in the Old Testament. There's the snap. They'll give it to Carr left side. Carr stutter steps to the outside, and he'll be tackled around the 31. He kind of slipped as he was trying to get back upfield. I'll mark him down. I marked him back at 32. Picked up 3, almost 4 on the play, and that'll bring up 2nd down.
We saw Carr last year. I don't remember him being quite as slippery, quite as elusive. Just
in fairness, we saw him against Cherokee Bluff's defense, which is a little bit of a different animal than East Hall's.
No question. And last year's defense, Cherokee Bluff, really good, really good.
But I agree. I mean, I don't remember. I remember Monroe area throwing the ball a lot more last year, and that could just be a game plan situation. 2nd down and 6. Give it to Carr. Carr stutter steps from the left back to the right. Get inside the 30 down to the 29. Picked up 2 yards. That'll bring up 3rd down. Clock running at 3:22 here.
Demery along with Kylan Jones on that tackle.
And East Hall is going to take their first time out with 3:13 to play in the ball game.
We should have some finals, do we not?
Well, there you have it. That game rolling down to an end there with Monroe area up by 10 points at this moment. Walker, next week on the schedule, we've got a few interesting games. We've got Monroe area at Jefferson. That one should be a pretty good ball game.
Mm-hmm.
You've got East Hall traveling over to Oconee. I don't know how good that's going to be. Yeah, okay. Beaufort at Collins Hill. North Forsyth going over to Denmark. Needing a win in region play after losing last week or last Thursday in that battle to Lambert. So that's a key region game for them. And, of course, Hab Central travels over to Clark Central. As we talked earlier in the show, that could be somewhat of a trap game there for Hab Central. But hopefully they can get out of there with a win. So I would say overall this schedule is not that great looking at it because Chestatee.
Beaufort Collins Hill should be fun.
It could be. It could be, but I don't know how much fun that game's going to be.
North Forsyth, Denmark might be interesting coming off the bye for North Forsyth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a game. It's a week where it doesn't look like we're going to have a lot of good games, but just wait. There's going to be something that comes out of this week where we're going to, be talking about the 5 things that we're writing on Monday morning. And it's going to be like, didn't expect that one.
Yeah. Well, let me go back because there is another good game on the schedule that potentially could be a good game and is big in the region standings from a playoff perspective. Franklin County travels to East Jackson. That is a big game for both of those two teams when you look at region standings and the playoff picture. Now, granted, 8-2A is probably going to be one of those regions that gets more than one or more than 4 in. But still, that's a big game for both teams' paths. And if you look at what East Jackson has been building toward, obviously tonight a big loss to Hebron, but we kind of thought that would happen. But they have Franklin County coming up at home, a game they can win and a game that will help them in the region standings.
Trying to see if we had a final score come out of that Stevens-Franklin game tonight. Stevens defeated Franklin tonight 24-20.
Ooh, that changes some things.
So that makes it even more interesting.
Yeah, that changes the attitude of that game a little bit more, especially for Franklin County. When you look at those standings, that means that both of them are 0-1. Stevens will move 1-0, Hart 1-0, Hebron 1-0 in the region. So you've got that.
We're going to be talking a lot about 8-2A next week, it sounds like, on the Pick'em show.
Very interesting. You've got a 2-3 Stevens tied with a 2-4 Hart County and a 4-1 Hebron Christian at the top of the region standings, and a 4-2 Prince Avenue at 0-1 and a 5-1 East Jackson at 0-1 tonight. So Region 8-2A will be a region to watch, especially that game next week. So let's check in one more time here.
Area at the East Hall 15-yard line. Jit Carr is the tailback.
Don't need them to score here, by the way.
Tight end in motion from right to left. Now they'll get the sideline for an audible. Play clock is down at 11. Harrison goes back under center. There's the snap. Give it to Carr. Straight handoff left side. East Hall eats him up. No gain on the play.
Hey, there you go, Bo.
East Hall takes their final timeout with 2:02 to play and a decision here for Monroe.
Have you a final coming in here? Oconee is a final. They win 28-24, and Lakeview 27-26 final.
Go for this.
Whoa.
The game is basically over.
It was 27-0 at one point.
Yeah, well, 27-6. Sorry.
A whole lot.
Oh,
Not 27.
Okay,
27-6.
Cut it to 1
yeah,
point.
my bad.
Wow.
Squirrely happening. So I think you're going to see Monroe area send the offense back out here. Got to get just inside the 12 for a first down.
The Monroe area needing
that with no timeouts.
Like 5 yards.
Area can just about. I know they
Sounds right.
can run the clock all the way out without having to do anything but take a knee.
If they get this first down. Now, if they don't get this first down, you have a turnover on downs. Long way to go for East Hall, but they got a guy who can run, and they showed the passing. It hadn't been consistent tonight, but certainly was on their last touchdown.
Okay, so here comes the offense. 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. They'll work out of the shotgun now.
Hard count, I imagine.
We've seen East Hall jump offside several times. Bring the slot man in motion left to right. Harrison in the shotgun. There's the snap. He drops the throw. Got time. Now he's rushed. He escapes. No, he doesn't. East Hall's going to sack him back on the 24-yard line. So the East Hall defense, that was Darius Ellison who got a hold of Ezra Harrison. Got him to the ground, and the East Hall defense, Gene, we've talked about all night. These Vikings, they have made just enough plays. Yeah. Just enough to stay in it. It's 1:55 to go. It's still a 10-point game for Monroe area, but it ain't over.
It ain't over till it's over. 1:55, as you say. You throw up a couple of big plays, put it in the end zone there, then you go for the onside kick. Now you got a shot.
Now it is over for the East Hall band. They are filing out of the stadium.
They made a lot of good, nice sounds down there. They just said, well, it's 11 o'clock. We got to go home.
My guess is they must have a competition tomorrow.
Gene and Brian.
Final score. Monroe defeats Union tonight 29-14. That's gone final. So we're just waiting on 2 games to go to get final scores from this Monroe area East Hall game, and still waiting on any update out of LCA.
Go intercepted on the 40. Curling back to midfield, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, flag down, and running out of bounds into the East Hall bench is Mason Scarborough. I think this flag is going to be on the return. Gene, I thought Harrison overthrew everybody on the far side, and Scarborough just came out of nowhere and caught that ball on the run.
Yeah, that was a dangerous throw that ended up not in a good way for East Hall.
So 1:41 to go. That is going to be the icing on the cake for Monroe area. They can just take 3 kneel downs and let this 38-28 be the final score. They're sorting out what the penalty is. Yeah, personal foul, blindside block, the call against the Purple Hurricanes. But 1st and 10 nonetheless.
Well, Walker, I guess we could say that is rolling to a final over at East Hall Stadium. Another interception for East Hall, and that one as they were trying to make something happen late in that game. So Monroe area, they advance in that game tonight. I'm trying to find the LCA score. That's the only one that we do not have at this moment.
Yeah, that's the only final that we don't have. Of course, Monroe area about a minute away from winning in that one. So that puts Monroe area, Oconee County, and Jefferson all at 1-0 in Region 8 3A, with Cherokee Bluff, East Hall, and West Hall falling to 0-1. Still very early in Region 8 3A, Bo, but you're starting to see that Jefferson, I don't know if we learned anything about Jefferson tonight, post Max Brown era, but I think we learned a lot about the grit of Oconee County and Monroe area. We now know a lot about Monroe area.
We do know a lot. Monroe was one of those kind of Jekyll and Hyde teams over the last couple of years, and so far this season they seem to be pretty legit at this moment. So how this region plays out, no one knows, but it could be fun on how it goes. All right, Walker. Well, we've got a lot of other work to do after we get off here. Do we want to roll through the scoreboard one more time before we say so long?
Absolutely, we can do that. Final scores, assuming this final score right now, Monroe area 38, East Hall 28. Gainesville defeats Johns Creek tonight 61-0. Oconee County, a wild finish in that one. They defeat Cherokee Bluff tonight 28-24. And also in 8-3A, Jefferson defeats West Hall 49-6. In 6-3A, North Hall winners over Pickens 38-0. Chestatee shuts out Johnson 62-0. Lumpkin 45, White County 14, GAC 21, Dawson 14 in that one. Other finals that we have: Lakeview defeats Riverside 27-6. Habersham Central 35, Winterboro 21. LFO 29, Union County 14, Hebron 55, East Jackson 10, Raven County 62, Providence 21, Elbert 16, Commerce 6, and Dixie 27, Towns 21.
Reminder to you, coming up later tonight, check out AccessWDUN.com's Friday Game Night page. Stories, photos, highlights, and much, much more coming up later on tonight. Walker and I have to jump on that desk and get that work done. Walker, this has been fun.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun again. Drop your suggestions, drop your thoughts in the comments. That way we can improve on this for the next time we decide to throw this whip around show on. A lot of fun to be able to listen to a lot of different games and keep up with the games throughout the night. And I appreciate everyone for joining us for this last 3 hours or so.
By the way, we also know that we had an echo in the beginning, but we got that fixed, by the way. But
we did get it fixed.
We did get it fixed. That's a wrap for the show tonight. The Whip Around Scoreboard Show, as we brought it to you all night long. For Walker, I'm Bo. Until next time, have a great rest of your weekend.